Technical difficulties, guys. Just give us a little bit of time.
I reset, so...
Yeah.
This happened in my last run, too. My video was not on the restream at first.
I noticed you don't have a completed file.
No, I don't have one saved because I haven't completed a 100% run in a while. So.
Oh, you could have mine in RPG Limit Break.
Oh, if I reset it from just the beginning there when I haven't hit the options, it'll still have the fast text, right?
Yep.
Okay.
As long as it was a soft reset, you're fine.
Yeah, it was a soft reset.
No, that's perfectly all right. Technical difficulties are a thing that happens.
Okay, so we're gonna recount this down.
Alrighty.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Alrighty.
Both of you.
Thank you. So, Magic Knight Rayearth, last game released in the US on the Saturn, Clamp, anime, manga, based off of Season 1 and first 3 volumes of the manga.
You stole that from me. Also, this is a Working Designs release. I know you all love Working Designs.
The best. They know how to localize games and make them harder because games are too easy.
Wow, I had an NPC walk into me, go into the elevator. I've never had that
I have
before.
an important fencing
I have an
match
NPC
tomorrow,
that's
and we're
currently
wasting
trapped me in
time
front
here.
of the thingy, the binoculars.
Oh my, you look lost. Can I help you?
So here we're at Tokyo Tower. We have to talk to the other 2 girls that will join our party after a series of
What are you
cutscenes.
doing here? Is something wrong?
And for whatever reason, our dog
This
knows
cute
how to
little
use an
knight is
elevator.
my very naughty dog. I have to catch him before he causes any trouble. Wait! I'll help you!
So,
Flash.
US version, fastest to run, for 2 main reasons. The first reason is that in the Japanese
what a
version,
darling little
almost
puppy.
everyone in the game is voiced,
I'm
and
so sorry.
you can't skip
I don't
through
know
voice
what's gotten
text.
into him.
In the US release, they only voice the intro and certain conversations with some people later. Also, in the Japanese version, anime cutscenes are unskippable, but they are skippable in the US release. So it makes about 90 minutes of a difference. It's insane. So you're just gonna see a little black screen as we're skipping cutscenes. And now we're gonna be getting exposed to the evil villains of the game.
Becomes an embarrassing reality.
What can they hope to accomplish using these children? Even if they manage to release Emerald, their power is
this
too
is
limited
based
to be
on
of
an anime
consequence.
that exists,
Quite
right?
true.
Yeah, an anime and manga series by the
must
group
watch
Clamp,
them closely
who's
to
known
minimize
for
any
a very
chance for
specific style.
Surprises.
Is this
As you wish.
so? Is this the story of the anime, or is this like something where it's like, oh, an part of the anime has already happened? Are we in the middle of the story?
No, it's basically, as Kari said, it's a loose adaptation of the first season.
Gotcha.
Yeah, first season or first 3 books of the 6 volume manga. Which was, I don't know when the manga was released. I know the anime came out around 95, because this game came out in 95. This game came out after the anime.
What kind of nightmare is this?
That
hurt!
All the anime cutscenes
Since
that we
we're
were
all
skipping
conscious of what's
and
happening,
the opening
I think we can
theme
rule out
are actually
dreaming.
from the anime
It
itself.
was a figure of speech.
Oh,
But
okay.
whatever.
Yep.
We
Would
have
you
to find out
say
what happened.
you like the anime?
What
Have you
is
seen
this
it?
strange place?
I have
It
seen.
appears we've been blown
I've
out of
seen the
our
first
world
season
and into
the
another.
second season of the
One
anime
thing's for
takes
certain.
a different
This isn't
sort of
Tokyo.
storyline
As
than
we were
the
falling, I
second
saw a
half of the
floating
manga
mountain and a
does,
volcano
like
in
a
the
lot of
distance.
shows did back then.
I noticed
and
that
even
too.
now.
Yeah.
I
It's not bad.
decided I
The
might
second
be
season is a
hallucinating.
little bit weird compared
I'm not in
between
the
them,
mood to
but it's a
compare
generally
tricks.
good story.
We've
It's,
got
you know,
to find a way out
early
of here.
90s
Well,
style.
why don't we
and,
introduce ourselves first?
One of the early
What?
and
Admittedly,
well
this is a
known,
trying
at least in the West,
circumstance,
examples of
but
like
we can
the
at least
literal
stay
magic
civil.
knight.
Introductions seem like a
sort of
natural
trope.
starting point.
Not just magic.
Then we can
magic
put our
and
heads
girl,
together and get
but
out
like
of here.
you know more fighting
me
and
in.
swords and stuff like that.
Then I guess
Also
I have
giant
no
robots.
choice. Count me
Welcome,
in too.
welcome to Blast the Process, where we raise Sega awareness and talk about old '90s anime.
Oh yeah.
It's a shame I don't know any of the Slayers
You're
games for
the
Saturn.
same age as me.
Because they
You
released
look
some
like you're
Slayers
still in
games for Saturn
elementary
as well.
I must confess that I had the very same impression of you.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's,
honestly.
there's 2 for
I
Saturn.
quite obviously
What kind
of
am
games are they?
substantially more mature
RPGs.
than you, Phil.
Oh,
I
okay.
believe. I have not actually played them,
Enough.
but I own them.
Gotcha.
What do you mean, children?
So basically, we're just
You are more of a child than
doing a
I
bunch
am,
of
buddy.
plot dumping of
I
the
have
series.
lived on this
Basically, we're
world
in
for
another world now called
745
Sephiroth.
years.
It's in chaos because their
What?
princess was stolen,
But who
and
are you?
we gotta go save
My
the
name is
princess.
Clef.
Because
I
it's
am
what
the
you
High
do when
Priest
you're in
of
another
Sephiroth,
world.
and your guide in this realm. Until you reach the end of your journey together, you cannot return home.
And it's about 20 minutes of cutscenes before we really get to the meat of the game. And the game is similar to a Legend of Zelda or Crusader Recenti to a certain extent, just as referencing a game from earlier in the marathon.
Does the music always cut out once Clef starts talking to you after his cutscene?
Yeah.
Okay, I hadn't noticed that before.
Master.
And whenever we cut to Zagoth's palace, it always plays the same cutscene. It's
seems that
kind of dumb, but they do it.
not bound as tightly.
I guess
Showing off their 90s CG.
Her intent must be to
Yeah,
revive the
it is
ancient
really bad
machines.
mid-90s
We must
CG.
have a plan to counter Emerald's activities, Zagoth.
So we get to see the villain's perspective of what they're plotting as well.
God knows all.
The ones Emerald has summoned from beyond the barrier are merely children.
So as a warning, there is giant robots in this game, so if you're a fan of Gundam, you might be in luck.
For concern.
That
Just a
meddlesome
little bit,
priest
yes.
is the fly in our ointment.
Only near the end.
Question is, how
This
do
is a
we
very
remove him?
highly regarded and generally well-known anime and manga by Clamp. Not as well-known as, say, as like Cardcaptor Sakura, which is like, you know, the #1 Clamp anime that everybody knows. Rayearth did not get any TV airing in the US. It was possibly going to, because I believe it was like, it was rumored or
This
said
world
that Fox
is
got the
known as
license to
Sephiroth.
it, and then
You have been
just weren't
summoned
able
by
to pare
Princess
it down
Emerald
for TV.
to fulfill your destiny.
It did
of
air
course,
in-
save us.
At least it wasn't for kids.
Yeah, I think it aired. It was either in Mexico or
Summon
Italy. I don't
Ray
remember,
Blast.
but I think it was. I think it got a Latin American airing actually, like a lot of 80s and 90s anime
When
did.
Emerald was free, this land knew nothing of danger and suffering. All beings of
That's
Sephiroth
really weird.
lived together in peace and harmony, fearing
I
nothing.
forget the title. It's very
But
long.
now, this world reels as a dark chaos seeks to
I
engulf
keep
our
looking
very
over
souls.
at the feed
Mutant
and
beasts
feeling like
of
something's
unthinkable
going wrong
savagery
because it's going
have consumed
black.
our
The
world
loading
with
times take
fear.
forever.
Oh yeah, this
Oh,
game
yeah.
has a lot of those.
Simply because
Saturn.
the princess was taken from you?
Yeah.
Yes,
Welcome to Saturn.
Emerald was the cornerstone of all Sephiroth.
So working
She alone
designs,
held
as
the
they tend
power
to do,
keep it
they
in balance.
make changes to games they
See,
localize,
in
like
our world,
adjusting difficulty
simple
and
thought is
maybe
the most
adding some
powerful kind of
quality of
magic.
life stuff. For this
And a
game,
soul
they
pure in
made
thought can wield
enemies
more
generally have
power
more
than
health
the
and
most
do a bit more
insidious of
damage.
evils.
Some bosses do a
Princess
lot more
Emerald
damage to
held
the
our
point
world
where they'll
together
one-shot you.
quite literally, with her prayers.
They also bosses generally have more
But then
health,
someone stole her away?
but they also did some
And
quality
why
of
would
life stuff like
anyone
reducing
want to
lag in
imprison
some
her?
places and removing some bugs that crash the game or repeat dialogue.
Yeah, they
And
actually
making
had
it that you
some
can skip cutscenes, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, the quality of life stuff like skipping cutscenes and
just
being able to
sounds
match
so
through
very barbaric.
dialogue
Can it be
that's
true?
unvoiced.
Yeah, they actually had to
Besides, what
either
relevance
them
does this
or
have to us?
someone had to
None of
actually
this world.
recode portions of the
Our
game,
best soldiers,
which
knights,
actually
and
kind of
magicians
pops up later
have
with a
tried
glitch
and
that we'll be
failed
doing.
to
That
defeat
we
Zagoth.
think is
The people
because
of
of that.
Sephiroth simply cannot
Because
challenge
some of the source
strength
code of the game
of
was
his
apparently
thought
lost
successfully.
during the
That
translation
settles
process.
it. We will become these magic knights and save Emerald for you.
Well, it was basically like after the game was released, the source, like half the source code was lost and working designs just had to rebuild the game based on the final product.
Only by claiming your destiny as magic knights can her wish
And then
be
still
fulfilled.
took, 2 more years
And
after that or
only when
whatever
that
for the game to
happens
actually come
will
out
the way
because
home reopen to you.
the head of Sega of
So in a
America did not like
nutshell,
Japanese
we have
games
no
and did not like
choice.
2D
To
games.
get
And this is a
home, we
2D
must
Japanese
save
game.
Sephiroth.
Yep.
Your destiny
And an
is
early
to
one at
become
that.
magic knights
And yeah, in
revive
chat
the
there we got
machine.
the title of
Machines?
Rayearth in Mexico,
Can you
so it
wield?
did
Then
air in
show me
Mexico.
your skill right
The
now.
Magical Warriors.
Maybe later.
I I had hoped that you would have at
Maybe it was
least
the
some
Italian
magic
name of
ability.
Slayers that was the
But
really
no
long
matter.
one.
Magic transmission now.
So they give you a little dialogue option, choosing that that you know magic is a little bit faster because there's a delay before you can choose an option in the menu if you wanted to choose a different one, and the other dialogue is a bit longer.
Magic has
Yeah, even though
chosen
the
you.
first one is, I think, 2
Hikaru,
text
close
boxes,
your
it's still a
eyes
little
and
shorter.
feel the power.
Yeah,
Can you sense it?
it's just
The
voice
strength
acting
is
speed.
within your very soul.
Yes, and you can't skip the text if it's voice acted.
Feel it.
Yep.
The,
My heart seems
like
ablaze
like
with a
Shentok said
sense of
earlier, all the majority of text boxes are
experienced the
voiced in
wellspring of your
Japanese,
magic.
like just in the plot. In the English version they really front loaded it, so it's most of the stuff in the beginning that's voiced,
What's that?
and then there really isn't
It
much for the
appears
rest of
that
the
Sega's
game.
forces have caught up with us.
Instead, they voiced this thing called the Illustrated Diary, which is kind of this side thing you can access in the menu that kind of recaps story
But what are
points
you
from
gonna
each of the
do?
girls, and
I shall stop them from
all the
following
voices
you.
are kind of crammed in
Now
there
go.
instead.
That's
Yeah.
insane!
And then they also have outtakes as like common to some working designs games where you can just listen to their flubs and it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think this is one of the earliest ones, or earlier ones, and also I guess few ones where you can access the outtakes without like just from a menu, because like in the Lunar remakes you have to actually beat the game and then they play during the credits or after the
Oh,
credits or
okay.
something. Groundlancer's another
Popple
one.
Mail has that, but you have to beat the game in like some crazy amount of time.
Oh man, yeah, and
Well,
Groundlancer,
well.
both in the games of
It's
Groundlancer
been
Generations
far
have it from a
too
menu option as well
long,
that's
Clef.
unlocked.
You
Interesting.
always were a weak-minded follower.
It's just nice to be able to just pop the game in and go, I'm gonna listen to the outtakes.
Yeah. And if you're familiar with working designs games, they generally share a lot of voice actors in between games.
Yeah, if we see the credits, you'll see, I think they're the first thing in the credits, you'll see the list of voice actors, and a lot of them were reused from Lunar.
I would
I
expect
think Ashley
no
Angel
less
does
a fight
someone in
from the
this
best
game.
magician
He was
in
Alex in
I taught you the
Lunar.
secrets of my magic to protect
And then
them.
a lot of the
Now
people who
spit in
were
my
in working
face
designs,
by
even from the
turning the
early
knowledge
days,
I
you know,
gave
continued
to the
on
surface
throughout
of evil.
up until the end.
Yes. The
Oh,
girl
who's
I
my
still
favorite of three
remember
girls? It has to be
vividly.
Umi.
Pure to the last.
I'm
But
kind
how
of a
was
tie
she
between
defeated?
Fu and Umi.
I taught her, you ask.
What's the difference?
I
Color
just
hair?
Balance got.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like Hikaru is like the you'll kind of see it from the dialogue later, but Hikaru's the quote unquote the uber main character. She's kind of the energetic one. Umi is the rich girl, a little bit snobby, but you know, she cares for her friends, and then Fu's the smart one because she has glasses.
If Alcyone
Yeah. Oh, well
destroys
done,
the
Fu.
3 emerald suns, there can be no magic knights. And the machine
But each of the
will
three
remain
characters
sealed
have
forever.
different styles of combat. Hikaru uses
stone
a
will overtake
sword, has a short attack range, but does like decent damage. Umi uses a rapier, has the longest attack range, but it's also thin. But it also does most damage because it's supposed to be, I guess, harder to hit or something like that. I don't know. And then Fu uses a bow. She's the weakest, but she has a charged homing attack that is really good in some
I wonder
places.
if Clef is alright. Come on, Fu. Didn't you see the power he had? Of course
But
he's
for like
alright.
most boss fights, physical damage we'll use Umi because she does the most damage by a decent.
What have we here?
But there are going to be fights where we
It's a
won't
gang
use
of
Umi as
octos.
much.
How positively saccharine.
Well, actually, I'd say for the most part, for bosses, we mainly use our magic abilities because that just does the most damage by and far. And then, you know, we just magic burn down the bosses and then finish them off with Umi's melee attacks.
That is the most
Yeah,
adorable
they're all a
show of
cute
courage
one.
I've
That's
yet
true.
witnessed. I, dear child, am
Rayearth was actually the
Alcyon.
first.
You.
Actually,
What have you done with
I
Clef?
think it was either the first or the second manga that I
I
read.
hope he's alright.
Oh, wow.
Clef is fine.
The other one
He's
being
far too
Sorcerer
stubborn
Hunters.
to fall to someone as lame as this.
That's pretty cool.
Ah, such brave words in the
And,
face of
I
impending
remember as
doom.
soon as I read
Don't
the
delude
manga and watched the
yourself.
anime, I
Your
found
little
out that the
guardian
game
is solid
existed.
stone
This is
by
back
now,
about
kiddies.
2003. So
I won't believe
I I was like tracking down the game even back then on eBay, and even back then it was like ludicrously expensive.
Don't worry your pretty little airfield.
So yeah, this game,
his time had come.
being the last
And
last
so
Saturn
has
game released in the
yours.
US, and just being in
Ta-ta,
general a
little
Saturn
ones.
RPG and a working
With you
designs game
dies
is
the legend of the
really
magic
expensive
knights.
for the US version.
Yeah, I think it's about like $350 to $400 for a complete copy now. I
You
paid
wouldn't want to
about
fall off the
$170 for
griffin
mine
before I killed
several
you.
years ago.
Yeah, I paid $100 for mine back in 2012 or 2012.
Dang. But yours has the stickers. That...
Yes, I have a more complete copy than Shentok does. I have the stickers and like the mail-in card and stuff in mine.
Also the better CD art.
Yeah, I have there were 3 CD arts released for this game because Working Designs did that a lot with
Yeah,
their
they really
releases.
made their releases special.
So I have the Umi disc,
I have the Foo disc.
and of course there's a Hikaru disc out there.
Yeah, especially on the Saturn, they had different disc variants for their games.
You really did it.
Like
Yeah.
Dragon Force had 3 different discs printed.
I know Lunar on PS1 had,
Yes.
I want to say at
That
least
was
4 sets,
magic.
maybe 5. I know there was like, I think 3 when it came out, and then another one added later when it got a re-release.
I won't believe
That's
it until I
crazy.
see it myself.
That was the
We
last
must
one
go
released
back.
is the fan art edition,
Isn't
so all
that
the disc art was
rather
made by fans, which is kind of
dangerous?
cool.
Yeah, that's really
We
cool.
can't leave him back there if he's in trouble. What kind of person
I knew
would
someone on a
suggest
message board
that?
who collected every
Please,
single variant of
try to
Lunar
stay
out
calm.
there.
Raised
So
voices
not
are
only,
Just to
like,
start as
problem.
cutscenes.
Hikaru, if we go
Not
back and
only
find
every like
his
discard
stone,
version, but
we
every
don't have
release
the means
version,
to
including the
reverse
very
spell.
rare like PC
Besides,
Korean
don't you
version or
remember
something.
that Clef told us to save Sephiroth at all costs?
As a note, I looked it up.
Right.
Currently,
Going
you
back
can get
now and
a
play right
full
into the
copy
hands
of
those
Magic
wishing
Knight
to
Rayearth
stop us.
for
To
$400
save Sephiroth, we
on
must
eBay.
follow Clef's instructions and
Or
move
if you
forward
want
at
to
any
play
cost.
the Japanese version, $12.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the Japanese version is cheap,
You're
but
right. We have to press on.
It's slower.
If
But yeah,
It's
I
a
paid
lot
5. I got
slower.
mine.
And you
Clef's
can't read it.
instructions were that
I think it's a
should
complete
head
Japanese copy. I got it for
east.
$5 out of a bargain
Yes,
bin.
I'm sure of it now. He
You're
said to
missing,
head
like,
east
the
in
sleeve
Forest
and
of
the art
Silence
book.
to meet Prisia.
but
Wait a minute. I wonder if this could be the Forest of
unless they had like
Silence.
2 releases, because mine
Well,
had like
there's
a
only one way to
cardboard
find
sleeve
out.
and an art book.
Let's get moving.
Yeah, they might have had a like limited edition release something. Oh my god, I'm actually moving now.
Oh dang, you're ahead of me.
We're there.
I know, we actually have a slight bit of movement before more cutscene.
Yep. But at least that's the last of the voice cutscenes for a while.
Hello?
I'm pretty sure,
Anybody home?
like,
It seems as if
an
no one is at
RPG
home
that
right
starts
now.
with 20 minutes of cutscene
Perhaps
is
this isn't even
kind of a
Prisia's
normal
house.
RPG thing, though.
Yeah.
Unless it's like an NES or like
Did you
Master
see that?
System
The door just
RPG,
opened.
in which case you get
What kind
nothing.
of person leaves their home
Gotta take
unlocked?
advantage of that CD
It's not
space.
safe.
Exactly.
Well, let's not waste time just talking about it.
But once we get done with these
You mean
cutscenes, we'll get into the
go
meat of the
into
action, and
the
then
house?
things will pick up speed
Isn't
really
that bad
quickly.
manners?
Okay, fine.
Because basically,
You
there's
stay
this
out there
cutscene
with
here.
your manners
There's
and the
one more
monsters,
that's
and
the
we'll
first
go
of 4 tutorials that are voice acted, and then the only cutscenes with voice acting after that are dialogue between the villains.
Or if you're playing the Japanese version, apparently 90 minutes, you said?
Yeah, an extra 90 minutes.
Yeah, I actually
What's
haven't
fun?
played through my Japanese copy like completely, but I don't know which scenes or voiced extra. But then also you can't skip any of the animated stuff.
Yep. The only in the main, at least in the speed run, the only cutscenes I found that weren't voice acted were ones near the end with Farga. And that was it. Oh yes, Makona, our little buddy that's gonna follow us around.
He's the mascot.
I love
Because we
him.
need a mascot.
Makona's also the name or nickname of one of the ladies in the Clamp manga circle.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Actually, didn't know that.
So I think they named the character after her. And
That's pretty
Makona's
cool.
kind of also the Clamp like overall mascot character. He's also appeared in Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicle, which was like Clamp's giant crossover manga that they did in the early 2000s. Also, there's a black Makona in that one, I think.
He kind of reminds me of Ryo Oki.
I love Ryo-Oki. That's what half my name comes from.
Really?
Yes,
Oh, that's
Kari-Oki. Kari's from Digimon. Yeah, no one knows that. They're like, oh, like the singing thing. I'm like, no, it's anime. I was like 12 when I came up with this name.
And it stuck.
And it stuck because it wasn't taken anywhere.
So now we're finally getting some weapons, but they're not our real weapons. They're basically just borrowed weapons. They don't let us do a charged attack, so they're not that great. But we don't get to choose them, they choose us, kind of thing.
And Precia's Mysterious Central Lecture number 1.
I hope you didn't like the fourth wall because it's getting shattered right now.
Objective of your journey.
The fourth wall is not your friend.
It is foretold that Makona will be no end of help to the Magic Knights.
So you see that there's number 1, there's 4 of these. They basically, whenever we learn a new ability, they tell us about it.
And there you can use items that Makona is holding for you.
And they treat you like children,
various
because
settings.
only children play games.
The most important command to remember is illustrated diary writing.
Use it often, and you will have many wonderful memories of your adventures. You now know the basics. Time to end this session and return to the game. Have fun!
See you later, kids.
So basically, we're now learning how to save, because that's important. Although we never save in the run, because that would be silly.
Does that make it an issue if you die?
No, the game is very friendly on dying. If you die, you go back to, like, the start of the dungeon or town you're in.
Oh, okay. So is this run, like, super difficult or, like, really easy? Or in between? No,
It's
can only
mostly
be
easy. I would say it gets difficult near the end on the US version, but other than that, it's not a very challenging run. Then I guess that was more endurance than anything.
I was about to say, it's just challenging to get through it all.
Yeah, well, it's just challenging to start a run because of that long start, but after that, it picks up pace, and then you're just waiting on loading screens.
So, I'm in the first dungeon now. This is the,
Forest of Silence.
Force Silence, yes. Don't want these caterpillars kind of move randomly. You don't want them to run into you. So if you'll notice, hopefully, if when I move long enough here, I will start running. You can't run on command just yet. There we go. So you want to keep moving as long as you can and not crash into anything.
Yep.
Because then you'll wow, Foo slid really far. You can't run on command until later in the game. So you want to keep moving. For a certain number of, like, walk cycles until you start running. And then you want to keep that running. And the controls are a little bit slippery.
Get used to it.
You do get used to it, but you just have to be careful when, like, you're starting out or just not used to how far you'll move when running or running and jumping and whatnot. So,
yep.
Yeah, we ran into a guy here. This is Fario. He's a mercenary hunter type guy, and he wants to be our bodyguard.
Also, in this dungeon, we want to follow a specific route, because if you go the wrong way, it basically blocks off your path until you go back. It's supposed to be like a tricky maze.
Oh, hey, I kept my running speed after the cutscene.
Really? Dang.
Yeah. Or I got the fast run or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, I wasn't paying attention. I started moving, and I'm like, oh, hey, I'm running.
So for the most part, this run is pretty pacifist-oriented. We only kill enemies that we actually have to kill. And for whatever reason, there's a cutscene that kills your movement, and you gotta start running again. Ah.
Nope, I pressed the wrong button and didn't jump. I was in Somir mode. I'm like, oh, C is jump.
I've done that. So now we've hit a dead end, and we're gonna eat some extremely giant food.
Because, you know, we've been in the forest for so long.
So we need to eat food as big as us. And there's like a thing there that looks like cheese or an omelet, it's hard to tell.
Or it's pie. It could be pie, too.
Or a quesadilla.
And anime meat.
Yep.
Gotta love the anime meat. I mean, you've all heard of wall chicken. This is Makona chicken.
The frittata. That's what it is. So Mokona's found our way out into a trap. And then that's when everybody learns their powers, and then we can finally use magic.
Also because we're out of the forest of silence, that silence is magic.
Yep.
Because the enemy's actually trying to be smart, you know? Because she's magic-based. Oh yeah, this cutscene where Fario protects Fu is kind of funny, because the ice daggers that Alcyone shoots never really hit him, they just kind of go over him. And he still gets, like, really badly hurt.
Oh yeah, you can also get shoes in this game that make that sound that Pooh makes. So you can, every time you make a step, it'll make that sound, and it gets really annoying really fast.
So
Yeah,
if you didn't notice,
Oh,
you'll hear it more when you use your magic or get hit or anything with your sprites. They still have their Japanese voice acting, because I guess Working Designs figured, oh, you know, they're actually speaking Japanese, so just leave them like that.
Yeah.
They did that in Growlancer 3 as well with the Far Eastern looking character. They left her Japanese voice clips in for her like battle win and magic casting and stuff too.
Huh, that's pretty crazy. I mean, my assumption for the reason I'm doing that in this game is because the memory space you get for sound effects is really tiny on the Saturn, and the Japanese, of course, is pretty quick to pronounce versus saying it in English. And that was my guess for that, but if they're doing it for Growlancer 3, that's a little strange.
Yeah, they actually admitted to that one, that they left it in, because, oh, you know, it sounds more, you know, true to her character to do that. Everyone else has, you know, English clips when they win the battle or whatever in that game. And it's only that one character that does it.
Interesting. So now we're going to enter some trials, basically to get a mineral called a scudo to make our magic weapons that evolve with our heart, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like your thoughts, basically. Your thoughts, your feelings. Because the world of Sephiroth is powered on thought, basically.
Yep, and those who have the most powerful thoughts have magic. Or could turn that thought into magic.
Something like that, yeah. So the ones with the most powerful thoughts have the most powerful magic. So these fights can go, like, really easily, or they can be kind of, especially the middle one can be kind of trolly.
Yep. Bark, bark. So our dog's attacking us, and now we gotta put him down. Even though it's not really our dog. And then Umi's parents attack Umi. Basically, it's supposed to be just like a reflection of your deepest fears of the character.
Yeah, like, what's the thing you care about most, like, attacking you?
Yeah. And apparently Fu only cares about herself. And so these fights are kind of weird. For the first two fights, you can only damage the boss or the enemy with magic, but you have to hit them with your weapon to have them drop like magic, these little magic refill balls. So that's like how you have to kill them, because at this early in the game, you only get enough to cast your spell once. And for whatever reason, you don't start out with full health on this fight, on these fights.
It's because you get hit, so...
Oh, I missed a hit. There we go. A little bit sloppy.
I'm playing it safe, so... Just waiting for Flash to run to the left before I hit him, because it's easier to hit him that way, and then wait for Umi's parents to stop moving before aiming your magic. Also, the hurt box on the parents is, like, really weird.
Yeah, it is.
So, Flash only needs 3 hits to go down. Parents need 4.
And I don't know how many hits Boo needs, but I just keep attacking.
I think she needs 5, but...
Basically, Fu has healing magic, Umi has water magic, Hikaru the fire magic, and it's just based on the color of their clothing.
Well, Fu's like wind as well.
Yeah, that's true, because yeah, it's like a healing wind.
Yeah, Fu takes 5 hits.
Oh, okay, dang.
I counted.
So yeah, 3, 4, 5. But basically, when you damage Fu's clone, it hurts you, so you have to heal through the damage.
But you have longer iframes than the enemy does, so you can hit her twice if your timing's good.
Oh, you can hit her several times.
I usually go for twice because I'm bad.
No, I just mash the attack button. And try to... I mean, like, after the first couple of hits, I try to be conservative, just because you could die. But at least dying on that fight, you only start off that part of the fight over, so it's not like you're doing all 3 fights again.
Yeah, it's very helpful how it's very nice with that. You don't want to mash. Yep. I always think there's another cutscene after you get the Escudo, but so I've like wasted a magic shot when leaving, because I'm apparently what Shentok says is that I mash really fast. So there's points where I'll be mashing out of a cutscene and then use magic by accident, like before a boss battle actually starts or something. So I actually have to be careful when I'm mashing, because I mash too fast.
If I'm near like a boss or something, I'll just only mash A, because you can mash A and C to advance text, and mashing C also advances animated cutscenes. Also, so you have to follow the same way out that you came in, otherwise you'll be just hit by dead ends. Or infinite loops. Ooh, almost ran the entire way out. One of those little red things hit me.
One of the gnat things, yeah.
Yeah. So now that we have our Escudo, we can get our real weapons and finally get through the game. Oh yeah, and then we'll also have a tutorial dungeon that explains like the basic mechanics of like pushing blocks.
Yeah, the reason you get Escudo is because not only so you have a weapon that's for you, but a weapon that's like made especially for you will also grow with you and is supposed to get like stronger or whatever.
Yep. It basically enhances your magic and your health and all that stuff. Makes you stronger as a person. And so we'll be having our last voiced cutscene for a while. With our villain friends. So Halcyon has failed, as has a zero tolerance policy. Your waifu, and Ori.
Say God, my lord.
I think this is one of the longer,
Please.
the last of the voice cutscenes left. There's like this one, and I think the one later.
Underestimated their strength.
With
Yeah,
like kind
the
of
next one after this is the swimming one.
But next
is where you
time,
the
I'll
swimming
surely-
tutorial.
Silence
That's the next
like,
one, I think.
For the
shall
evil
not be
people
a next time,
cutscenes.
dear.
Oh,
This
yeah.
one's kind of long,
What?
and then the one
Zegat,
before the
please.
waterfall dungeon
I'm begging
with
you.
Alcyone and
Just give
Caldina
me
is
one
kind
more
of long
chance.
too. The other ones are just kind of like
Faster, Zegat.
some of them the length of the actual like scene is shorter than the loading time.
Yeah, it's awful. Worse than
What
Queen
a
Barrel.
gem this one turned out to be.
Yeah, don't fail Zegat or you get turned to ice. Or crystal, I guess.
Alcyone was
Actually, you don't get
never
turned to
suited
crystal, you get
the task at
encapsulated
hand.
in
Yeah,
there.
she gets trapped in
Zegat,
it.
there's still a chance to stop them. Send me, and I'll show them how we play.
But as we'll find out later, it's more for show than anything.
Very well, Ascot. Do not return without favorable news.
Alright, now we finally get our real weapons, even though they're functionally the same as ours, just with a charged attack. Oh yeah, our charged attacks also become more powerful in different ways. Like Umi's and Hikaru's get a longer range. And Fu's, I don't know what her charged attack changes, because it seems the same throughout the entire game. Maybe it does more damage, I don't know.
I have no idea.
Actually, wait, no, you get more arrows, that's right.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
I've
because
never counted the arrows.
because you get 3. I remember you get 3 when you're fighting Caldina, and then I remember when I was playing around Heaven's Labyrinth earlier, you get 5,
Huh.
and it gets super laggy.
Huh, I never noticed that.
So now we're in a new town, and they're being plagued by a monster. And being the helpful people we are, we want to help. We want to meddle in everyone's problems. So we're going to talk to a fellow named Lucino, who touts himself as the greatest magician in all of Sephiroth, even though he's just a nobody. And he erected a barrier to keep the monster out, but it's not working. So we step in and do his job for him. But Lucino, being the nice guy he is, he's going to impede us every step of the way. Like, he even warns us, says, hey, don't go into that dungeon. It's like, it's too dangerous, you shouldn't be there. You're just a bunch of girls. But in reality, he's just worried about his pride.
Oh, the text box is so laggy when he's talking to you at the do you leave the mayor for some reason?
Yeah, there's no reason particularly why. I guess there's just like a lot of stuff on the screen, maybe. But it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I know, it's just like little things like that that are funny.
Basically, Working Designs always does in-house voice acting, so all the characters you hear all the voice acting you hear is only to this game. The anime has a different voice acting.
Yeah, actually also as well, the anime has a different dubbed opening theme. So, both the game and the anime have the same opening theme, like the same tune, dubbed into English. The lyrics and singer are different, and I strongly prefer the Saturn version's opening than the anime one for the
I
for the
haven't
dub.
heard the anime one.
I'll delink it to you. It's pretty awful.
Oh, I mean, I have it. I can listen to it later.
It's pretty awful. Of course, over all of them is the original Japanese version.
Yeah. So, for some reason, someone put a giant metal ball of death and they painted it with stripes, and it's being used against us. That poor old Coot is trying to get us killed. So this is a tutorial dungeon, basically teaches you about the basics of push block puzzles. Most of the puzzles in this game are pretty menial.
Just push blocks the right way. There's some there's one later where it's just puzzle room after puzzle room, and it can kind of get a little tricky, but get the treasure chest. We open the only 2 treasure chests that we... Well, not the only 2. There's a couple treasure chests we open later, but this is the only time we get money in the game. For any reason.
Well, it's optional. Basically, there's a boss later where it's really handy to have extra amount of potion. But you can go without it, and probably it may be faster, I don't know.
I'm personally... See, I went... I think I had enough magic ups on Umi at the Tree of Life boss that I didn't need to use a second potion on that boss. Which was...
Oh, that's cool.
Or maybe it was Caldina. I don't remember. There was a boss where I didn't need to use a second potion. So I was like, oh. Oop, I moved the block. Wrong block.
So I'm opting not to go for that potion, just to show off a different way of doing a later boss.
Okay, you can be fancy like that. I'll get the potion.
So here, normally you're supposed to take that platform to get across, but you can jump across if you position yourself correctly.
I can't do that. I've tried. I just, die falling all the time.
Yeah, it's definitely tricky.
Especially
you have to kind of run into it.
You can't start a running jump at that point.
Yeah. So we just talked to that mirror. Every time you see a mirror, it means that there's a new magic spell to learn, and we just learned Fu's only offensive magic spell, and the only one that we're going to learn for in the game because of a skip later.
Yeah, each character... Oh, come on. I keep getting stuck on the edge there. There we go.
And we have to use this magic to basically get this guy out of the way because he's using a giant fan preventing our movement forward.
Should've said that in the first place. I'm trying to be fancy and switch to Fu to go to the mirror, and I switched too early, and then the Minotaur got in my way.
Alright, so now we're getting to the first boss of the game, a giant crab spider. And he's super easy. We're basically going to burn him down with magic. And this is one of only a few fights where Fu's magic, offensive magic, is on par in damage with everyone else's. Like, I can only think of 2 other fights where that's the case. And basically the reason we're using magic is because you can only attack him physically when he's on the ground like that. When he's moving around, you can't hit him, but you can hit him with magic because magic ignores height.
Your movement must be really good if you're ahead of me. You said you ran like most of the way through the forest, so...
Yeah. So we've used up all our magic, and now we're just gonna wait for him to land and then hit him with our weapon. And he's being rude. Uh-oh.
I'm curious, when do you usually split? When you leave the cave or when you beat the boss?
When I beat the boss. I should probably change that, but I'm lazy. And I missed a hit, so he did an extra movement cycle. There we go, and he turns back into a tiny little spider. So now Lucino has seen the error of his way, and he's now a nice guy.
There were too many sprites on the screen or something when I used the wind and all the spider's legs disappeared.
Yeah, that always happens. I don't know why. But now that spider has been exploded, we were greeted by the townspeople for getting rid of it, and we give Lucino the credit because we have to go on our way. And for whatever reason, that's a good deed to perpetuate a lie.
Yes, all bosses explode.
That's right, they do. Except for the turtle boss.
The turtle's our friend, so...
That's true. We don't actually kill it. So now we can move on to the next town, Taflon by the Sea. It's very lovely music, and we're going to learn how to swim there. But first we have to solve someone's problem. Basically, there's this fella named Kaltus, strongest swimmer. I think he's like a fisherman too. Was unable to save some girl's pet, and decided to cloister himself off in despair. And we're gonna go set him straight so that he can teach us how to swim by yelling at him and berating him, because that works, of course. So basically, they encourage you to talk to the townspeople in order to advance the story, but there's really only 2 people you have to talk to. You have to talk to this guy in this house who mentions about Kaltus, and then a little girl who lost her pet but now has a new pet and has moved on. Because clearly she's pretty quick to move on. And now we've been, we can now do a fast travel in the game. If you press the Y button inside a dungeon, you go to the world map and fast travel to any places you've already visited. So we can just use that to go straight back to Polizu, where Kaltus has sealed himself off. And then we're just going to be mean to him. And then by doing so, he'll be nice to us.
Because that's how that works, right?
Oh, yeah.
NPCs just want to keep trying to get in my way.
Yep, had that same problem.
So I'm stopping at the shop here to buy a magic potion with my 100 gems, and it takes a little bit because you just sit through the shopkeeper doing a little dance to, like, hand it to you or something.
Yeah. She dances you your potion.
Yeah, the only items in this game to, like, use are the magic and health potions, and then you can also pick up, obviously there's the HP and MP jewels that you can pick up to increase your HP and MP on a character, and there's also these things called rainbow gems. There's 7 of each color, I think 7 of 7 colors.
There's 8 of 7 colors.
Oh, 8 of 7 colors. Math. So you'll get those, and you can go to this place called the Rainbow Junction Shop to buy stuff that, like, unlocks the secret menu and whatnot.
Yep, if you collect all 56, you unlock outtakes and some extra little things, and you can also unlock things like Makona's shoes, which make Makona's sound. There's a secret diary you can purchase. See, there's also an item that refreshes your mana when you're standing still. And there's also some embarrassing pictures of Precia that aren't all that embarrassing. Like, I think one of them, she's eating an apple or something like that.
Yeah, it's just like standard Japanese girl embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I think you have to buy every single one of those so you can buy the secret diary or something at the end.
No, they're separate.
Where's the shoes? I don't remember.
No, they're all separate.
Okay.
Basically, you can only buy one photo at a time, and each time you have to see Precia about it by the next one. So, Kaltus, being the nice guy he is, he just tosses us in the water, and expecting us to already know how to swim. And you can see us drowning. And suddenly, just by flailing arms, we know how to swim. Except for Fu, she needs a lifesaver to swim. And we get our second tutorial of the game. And every ability that we learn has these crazy elaborate names.
They can swim like beavers.
Oh, yeah.
When Hikaru's in her panic sprite, she has, like, cat ears.
Yeah,
which is, like, a thing
adorable
from the manga, where she's kind of, cat-like, so... she gets kitty ears.
And so to swim, you just mash the attack button. Up to a certain point, the faster you mash, the faster you go. And now we can swim through whirlpools. Sort of. So basically we have to navigate these whirlpools to get to the next dungeon, and if you don't know the path, it's really annoying. Because like the whirlpools just like pull you all over the place. And we're relying on their velocity to move us really quickly around. Or their pull, not velocity.
Science.
Words.
And Precious. Mysterious several.
So there's like a specific path you can follow to get there reasonably quick. There might be a faster one, but it's a pain in the neck to do anything, to do any other
In other words,
yeah,
paths.
it's just easier to go all the way like up, like left, up, and around to.
Yeah, and you get a lot of speed from the whirlpools too sometimes.
By pressing the attack button.
So now we're in this dungeon, and it mainly focuses on Nukaru's magic because it's ice, and of course fire melts ice.
Hope you're enjoying the game.
Ooh.
See you later, kids.
Dang, those guys hurt.
You don't want to run into enemies; they're not friendly.
Yeah, in the Japanese version, like most enemies only do like 1 point of damage. So we just use our fire to get that, and then we want to farm some mana so that we can do it again later. Nice, I got good RNG on that. So mana can either give you 1 or 2, depending on... I fell in the water. I'm not jumping. Whatever, I made it. The jump button was not cooperating. And more often than not, it's 1 when you need to. So now we just gotta put these ice blocks on the switches and then let us through. And the reason we want to fill up our mana is because we need to do that attack once more to get the next spell for Hikaru.
Too soon.
Oh no. Oh dang, I'm getting owned.
Hello, can you take me out of the whirlpool, please? Thank you. Alright. No, now up, okay. I had a lot easier time of that yesterday.
So we don't want Hikaru to die because we need to finish this dungeon.
Yeah, if Hikaru gets knocked out, like, before a certain point when you still need her, then you kind of just have to
die and start the dungeon over.
And start over, yeah.
Okay, so basically we just needed her to clear these ice blocks with our new spell. And that opens the door. And then for the rest of the dungeon, you can just be Fu because you need her to hit a switch with her arrow. And also, she's really good at clearing a specific room, because she's the only one with, like, area clear magic this early in the game.
Come on, get on the right pixel to push the block, please.
Oh yeah, block pushing can be finicky. So in this room, we have to clear all these little gnat thingies. See, I missed one. And they don't do any damage, but they can be a nuisance. And so with these ice blocks, once you push them, they keep going until they hit a wall or another obstacle. So this puzzle is basically like you have to move the blocks in a certain way in order to hit all the switches. And then before each boss, they let you refill your health, which is just wonderful.
Yeah, those like little fountains.
Yep. And so that little, if you paid attention in that one house with the girl and the pink monster, we're gonna be killing that little pink monster. Because poor little Jiminy, as he's named, becomes a giant monster through evil magic.
Please drop mana, I need it.
Oh, you're having some bad luck with mana drops?
Yeah.
Dang.
I think I need one more for Hikaru's thing, so I have 2,
yep.
I need 3.
Yeah. That's tough. I haven't had it that bad.
There we go. Just make sure I pick it up with Hikaru.
Yeah.
I had to exit the room like twice.
Dang, that's rough. I've never had it that bad, dang.
I just kept getting money.
So now, I forget the little girl's name.
Sarah.
Sarah, that's it. And now Sarah's house is destroyed thanks to Zagat's minion. And Jiminy is now a big evil monster. And so this fight's pretty easy. We also burn it down with magic, since he has a lot of time where he's in the air and you can't physically attack him in the air. And our magic just generally does more damage anyways. And so now we're going to lead him over to the right side, because if you're on the right side, he can't hit you. See, he does like these like little attacks, and we can always just keep him in the same spot.
Sometimes he floats up a little bit for like too long, as like you kind of sneak in on him to make sure he attacks you.
Yeah. Textbook fight. He actually gave me some good RNG. And now poor Jiminy is dead because he can't sustain that magical form that was given to him. And also we did a number on him. And now in a cutscene we get Sarah's pretty pissed off at us for killing her pet, but she gets over it pretty quickly. And then we also get our first giant machine that conveniently goes into a little jewel chest. Well, I guess it's not little, they're pretty big, they're like the size of their fists.
Yeah. But, you know, it just, you know, you would think maybe you could, oh, you can summon the machine, a giant dragon or something.
Yeah.
No, it just sits around till the end of the game.
Yeah, I think they say something like the robots aren't ready yet until you're strong enough or something like that.
Yeah, to like handle their power or something.
Yeah. And so they appear as like giant beasts, like this one's like a water dragon, and it turns into a giant robot. And we get another nice little cutscene with Zagat.
I'm just entering the Jiminy fight once the game loads.
And there's still poor Alcyone trapped in Crystal. And now enter the next of Zagat's minion, the last one I think that gets introduced. And so we get pink-haired Caldina, who's apparently a pretty good dancer.
I missed it.
Dang. Yeah, it can be kind of wonky because you have to kind of shoot at an angle when he's up in the air. So now that we've obtained the machine, the whirlpools are gone. I guess the machine was causing it or something like that by our presence, maybe? I'm not sure. Like, they don't really go into that, it's just after we've done what we've done, all of a sudden it's all clear. And now we can go to the next town, which has been plagued by a volcano. Although it's not the volcano that the intro of the game was referring to. And basically the volcano erupted and completely changed the climate of this area called Rosen into an ice tundra kind of place when it wasn't like that before.
Even though now it's called, like, the Ice Village of Rosen, so...
Yeah. And here we're going to experience a lot of lag, as there's a lot of NPCs on the screen at one point. And here I'm going to switch to Fu, just like for a little bit of positional advantage in a cutscene. Because basically, you end up where one of the NPCs is in the cutscene. Or where one of the characters is, and Fu is the closest to where we want to go next, even though it's like only like maybe a fraction of a second difference.
Save the frames.
Yeah, exactly. And so Ferio's playing the flute for the ladies, and Fu kind of has a thing for Ferio, and Fu's being jealous about that. Ooh, that was weird. It made like a strange static noise when I opened the door. It does that once in a while. It's weird. So now we're going to stay in an inn and get woken up in the middle of the night because strange things are happening. Turns out Ferio was trying to distract the people from Caldina the Dancer, who was hypnotizing people to try to do her bidding, which is mining this mine that's here to try to search for the ancient machine before we get to it. But plot twist, it's not there in the first place.
Caldina?
You said that Caldina is like the last of like Zagat's minions, and there's one more after her.
Yeah, but I mean like the last one that gets like has an introduction.
Oh yeah, that has like a special anime cutscene of coming out of the waterfall and everything.
Yeah.
Now I'm swimming.
Yay, the joy of swimming. Alright, so the person who runs this inn is like, hey, help us out. And we're like, okay.
We need to do good deeds for our Escudo to level up, so...
Yep. So now we're gonna go into the next cave where Ferio is waiting for us. And he tries to apologize, and Fu decides to be a jerk and tells him off. And now Fu regrets it. People are pretty quick with their emotions in this game.
They're teenagers.
True. So this dungeon's kind of confusing to get around if you don't know what to do, because there's like a lot of branching paths. But it's just basically one giant room with a bunch of connecting paths.
Yeah, there's a lot of extra stuff you can get in this dungeon. There's like a number of rainbow crystals and a couple of, I think an HP upgrade and stuff that we don't need. So you just take the main path and it's pretty simple.
We're only here for Umi's second spell in order to put out some torches. I keep wanting to press B to swim for some reason. And so basically any health and magic upgrades we give them to Umi, because she's our main source of damage, so we want her to be strong. But we only get one health upgrade and 3 mana upgrades in the run, which is basically enough to give her 1 extra spellcast much later in the game, and 1 extra HP to survive an extra hit on a boss, in case she gets hit. It's just more of a like just in case kind of thing.
Yeah, sometimes I pick up another health upgrade because it's just right there in the way. I don't know if it helps any or not. And I don't know how. I actually don't know how many mana upgrades I pick up. Do you get the one in before the ice cave?
No.
Oh, see, I get that one.
Oh, okay.
Just because I usually pass by it on my path of swimming, so I usually pick that one up. And I think I don't know if that gives me an extra. By the time I get to like Tree of Life or something, if that gives me an extra.
You get enough just by completing the Tree of Life.
Or like getting before it, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Whatever it does is, I think I feel like I had an extra magic shot at one point, but also my habits are hard to break, so I'm just used to grabbing that mana because I see it and I'm like, I want that.
That's fair. So now we're gonna do the first Caldina fight, and I say first because there's another one.
Spoilers.
And this one is mainly Fu-oriented in that she's the only one that can do regular attacks, but we're gonna use our magic first to burn that to get some extra damage in, because Fu's attacks are really weak. And she just shoots projectiles as well, and she can also... There we go.
Yeah, Caldina can be annoying.
Ooh, missed that.
Especially, and then, you know, if Fu gets knocked out, then it's just over. Nope, I don't want to go that way.
Not necessarily, but it's a lot harder to finish the fight, because basically then you have to guess when she does that dance around you which one's the real her. And that's really difficult, because they all look the same.
Yeah, they all look the same, except, like, the one that you need to hit is going to be displaced slightly. So it's going to be dancing at a different rate than the others, but it's also very hard to see because you always have stuff flying, like, over you. So maybe when you see her spin around, you have the foreground in front of you and you can't really see what's going on.
Yeah. There we go. Now Caldina makes her escape, and we apologize to Fario for being a jerk to him. Or at least Fu does. And Fu has a crush on him, even though our goal is to return home back to Tokyo.
Because every girl has to get paired up in this. Fu and Fario's like the only one that they kind of push in the first season. Hikaru ends up with like 2 guys in season 2. And then depending on the anime or the manga, it's different who Umi ends up with.
I know that Abner hits on Umi in this game, but Umi's like not having any of it.
Who did you say? I didn't say.
Abner.
I don't think he's in the anime, so.
Oh, okay. He's just there. He's just there
yeah,
for this.
In the manga, Umi gets with a aged up ascot, because apparently he's like older than he really is, and or time difference or something. And then in the anime, she gets with Clef.
What? That's crazy.
Because, spoilers for the second season of the anime, they go back to Sephiroth. They end up in Sephiroth again because reasons, and stuff happens.
We gotta continue the series. So now we have to talk to the innkeeper again, tells us how to get to where we need to go. And basically we have to talk to a fellow named Rafarga to learn a new technique in order to break the boulder that's blocking our exit. So instead of Rafarga doing it for us, he's going to teach us how to do it. And Rafarga, he used to be like a knight for the princess. But now that the princess is captured, he hides himself in exile, trying to hide his shame.
Oh, I just barely missed it.
But seeing our determination, he's willing to help us. So we're just gonna bash our head against some ice for a while. Also, I like this cutscene in Japanese because it's just basically Rafarga saying "mura mura mura mura." So now we can stay in his massively huge bed. And then we get a nice little cutscene that kind of gives more into Rafarga's backstory and why he's helping us and all that jazz. Because he's actually a pretty cool dude.
I end up... I had Hikaru die in the Caldina fight. Luckily, it's after the magic, but I always end up having someone get knocked out because I unleash my arrows, or like Fu's arrows come like get hit, and like when Caldina disappears to her dancey thingy, and then they end up hitting the wrong one because they just home in on whatever.
Yeah. So Umi's afraid of a bug, and we come in and save the day and break brittle walls. The insect get no respect. True that. That's like the one cutscene I wish they had voiced in English, just so I could hear it in English.
It seems
when you hear Umi scream and the car was like running, it's like, hey, what's wrong?
It's a bug!
Yeah.
That was the most, and I just passed the shortest, most pointless enemy, like, evil people cutscene. One line. Giant loading screen.
And also remember to boom. It's the true hero. Also, I knocked off my headphones. Okay, so now we can leave this dreary ice place to go into inside a volcano where it's much warmer. Because we really want to be warm.
Toasty.
And there's no place warmer than a volcano. Toasty. I remember always getting a kick out of that whenever you pull that off in Mortal Kombat.
I never actually played Mortal Kombat, I just like that noise.
Yeah. Alright, so now we're going through a dungeon. Actually, it's not really a full true dungeon, it's more of like a connection between towns, because it's fairly short, there's no boss. And so we're just going to damage boost through these flames, since we can survive it, and it's a lot faster than killing them. And now we're just going to try our best to run through and avoid the lava puddles, because they hurt a lot in the US version. And some of them also have eyes and turn into lava.
Sometimes I forget you have movement for, like, the tiny part where you need to walk down and talk to Rafarga. And I've, like, gotten distracted and... Oh, wait, I should have started moving 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, that happens.
You're only an hour in, how can I be distracted?
Well, because we still have an hour and a half to go. Well, maybe 2 hours.
2 hours. I'm ahead of my splits right now, so,
Nice. I have no idea where I'm at, because I didn't think to load a timer.
Mysterious Sephiroth lecture
I just figure if it says I have a PC on stream, then I'll just time it myself, but I highly doubt that'll
By
happen.
running to increase your speed,
I
the power
forgot
to
to
throw yourselves increases as well.
via
You can
Amber.
destroy
Although it threw
places
that,
with weak
threw that error at
foundations
me
or
again, so I
small
don't know if we even
cracks
could
with
record.
incredible ease.
No, that's too bad.
But be sure
Oh,
So
to
now we
use
enter a
our
town
items
that's
to
caught
run,
fire,
so you
and
can increase
some
your
kid
speed.
stuck inside a mansion, a really big mansion, and we have to go save them.
What is this, Final Fantasy 6?
That's all for today,
Yeah.
kids. We'll let you get back to your game now.
Was it a trap in Final Fantasy 6 as well?
Boom!
There's 2 times when a kid gets trapped in a mansion, actually, in Final Fantasy 6.
Oh, wow.
One
That's been
time is on
forever.
fire, and the other time is falling down.
Oh, okay. So we have to get 3 keys, each of different colors, in order to open various doors, in order to get to where the kid is hidden. Because of course he's behind all 3 colored doors.
I hate that dungeon. I hate that dungeon so much.
I hate the boss, but the dungeon's alright. Except for like the fire rats. So basically we're just collecting all the keys, and you need each previous key to get the last key. Apparently it was a trap in either Breath of Fire or... I haven't played either of those series, but I'd like to.
I played the first Breath of Fire, but I really don't remember it.
That's probably the only one I wouldn't want to play because it looks pretty dated.
It was very boring. It was like playing the first Dragon Warrior game.
Oh. I had a friend that played one on the PlayStation that looked really fun.
Breath of Fire, either 3 or 4. They're both very good, but they're very long.
I think it was 3. Was there like a long desert that you had to puzzle in 3?
I don't know. I've only watched the speedruns of 3 and 4.
I love the first Dragon Warrior game. That's my favorite.
I mean, it's very nice of what it did. It's just very simple and literally just, you
Yeah,
grind
I
levels.
guess. It's one that I turn my brain off when I play it. Also, hi, I'm still here. You guys are doing such a good job out me that commentary.
Alright, so now we're getting to this Fire Skull boss. It doesn't have like an official name or anything like that as far as I can tell. Basically, it starts out as like 3 little fire skulls, and then it turns into one big one after you destroy them. Dragon Warrior 1 is a grind fest, and it's pretty interesting. So I'm just gonna do a strat where I kill off the 3 little fire skulls, and then just do charged attacks against the large one.
I did not fall there, but okay, game. Crimson Underpass is like kicking my butt.
Dang.
That second time you have to like jump across pits and there's fireballs and stuff. I didn't get one of the fireballs hit me, so I didn't get running speed. Then I was like at half health with everybody, so I panic healed.
Dang. Also, this guy hurts a lot in the US version. Awesome, I got him stun locked right now. Ooh.
Yeah, the timing to stun lock him is like pretty difficult, I think.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion, is pretty difficult.
Okay, got him. And so Kari's going to do a little bit of a different strat that you'll see when she gets there, which is much easier to do and a lot less risky. But I would say they probably even out to about the same time in the... You could do a lot more attacks to kill them in the strat I use, but you're not wasting time buying that potion.
I am trying to do this dungeon now. I hate this dungeon so much. Go up the stairs.
I believe in you.
I'm gonna be reading it out loud, like, just to make sure I do it. South, east. Go north when you can, go down the stairs. So I get lost very easily in this here.
Yeah, it's really easy to get lost in this place.
To get the blue key. Plus there's all the things running around, just doing damage on you, and they follow you. And they stun lock you because, of course.
Yep. At least the little fire rats blow up eventually.
Yeah, but it doesn't help when they're running into you and you're trapped in the corner.
Yeah.
And they keep respawning. Like I already got Hikaru knocked out, so.
Oh, good thing you can revive her later. Although she's
yeah,
not
but
really
I have to
useful.
get there first.
Yeah. Well, don't forget you always have healing
Back
too.
up the stairs, take the blue door. Oh, come on. That guy usually doesn't spawn. Take the stairs. Down, head to the... Please move!
Okay. So now the fire's been put out thanks to us, because it was a magical fire. It wasn't, you know, any old regular fire.
What are you doing, Phil?
And now we're going to Lyrie. where there's a giant tree of life that is dead. Like, it is a truly massive tree, and it's dead because I think Emerald was the only thing keeping that tree alive or something like that. The princess that we have to go rescue.
Nope, wrong door.
So now we're gonna go talk to Athena, who says that we have some patients who are sick and we need a leaf from the Tree of Life, but the Tree of Life is dead. But there may be one leaf left that they can use to make an elixir to cure everybody. And also there's a little girl here with no shoulders. And here we meet Abner, which according to Kari is exclusive to the game.
Pretty sure he is. He might not be. It's been forever since I've seen the anime.
That's fair. And he's gonna be a big show-off, and because he knows how to run, we think we know how to run. And so Chicken Legs Umi is gonna show them how it's done.
Alright, I made it to the fountain. Ugh.
Nice. But Umi quickly realizes that she's not good enough to compete with the kids or Abner. So apparently we were part of a bet to go on a date with Abner if we lost, but you know we're not gonna follow through on that. Instead, we're gonna try to find our own way into the Tree of Life. So this is kind of like a weird point where we have to go to the entrance of life and all the way back to Abner before, and then go back to the Tree of Life again before we can actually enter it. And it's kind of weird like that. Okay, so we have to position ourselves to that ladder there, so we can build up speed to break this wall here.
I think I did that too soon. Oh, darn it. Alright, so I didn't do it. I didn't do it well. The strategy for the fire boss, I messed it up. But
Oh well, it happens. At least you have that potion.
I mean, what you're supposed to do is use your fire tornado twice. It hurts so much.
Yep.
You're supposed to use water tornado twice. And Umi is almost dead. And you're supposed to hit the big skull twice with it, and I hit it too early, so I only hit him once.
Yeah, and Umi is literally the strongest person for this fight. Ikaru's magic does no damage because it's fire against fire kind of thing. And food does like alright damage, but you want to really save her for healing if you're having a bit of trouble with the fight. And so now that I've talked to the entrance of the Tree of Life, we have to build up running speed again because every like the wall there respawns, and it's kind of awkward. So now we run all the way back to Abner, and then we'll finally learn how to get the instant dash, which lets us run by pressing the X button, and then like movement gets a whole lot better. What happened?
Umi died in the cutscene!
I love when that happens.
So I guess because the sprites for the fire are still on the ground after the boss, and Umi landed on one of them when you get teleported to the middle, and she died. And luckily her death animation overlapped with Alcyon's started appearing, so it didn't lose too much time. But it was just as funny as that one audio glitch you got the other day when in the first fight when Umi's death noise and then attack noise played for some reason.
Yeah, that was really weird. I've actually had a game over on that cutscene death there that you just did, where Umi was the last one alive and then died in the cutscene, and then it played out the cutscene, and after that it started the whole dungeon over.
Did you have to beat the dungeon again, or?
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't count.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Oh man, that's horrible. I need to be careful and never have that happen.
It only happened in a casual playthrough at least, but it was pretty bad.
But I'm really bad at that boss. I can never what do you call it? Stun lock him very well, so.
I'll teach you how to do it at RPG Limit Break.
Okay.
It's easy peasy. Umi's attack animation frames are really long. So it's fairly generous on being able to just chain the attacks.
Yeah, I'm probably just like moving. I'm trying to like play it safe on the boss. So I try to move back a little bit, and then it's like, well, or I charge too long or something. So I need to like get the count correct.
Yeah.
Please move out of the way, NPC. Thank you.
So this is the last tutorial of the game. Teaches us how that we can run without having to load speed first. But it doesn't tell you what the dash button is. You have to go look in the manual or just mess with the buttons.
Especially if you like change your buttons, because you can change the layout of the buttons in the options. Or, like there's like 2 settings I think for it.
Yeah, I think you can only change A, B, and C though, right?
Oh, I have no clue. I never tried it.
I never changed the option because the default is good enough to me.
Yeah, I never do it either. But I guess like if you've been playing the game, then you would know that like Z changes your magic, and Y is the fast map travel, and you already use A, B, and C for like attacking and using magic and jumping. So there's only one button left on the controller.
Yep, which is the X button, and then also your L and R triggers switches between the characters.
And start pauses the game.
Yeah. So now we can finally move fast and everything really picks up pace. Because now we can run around instead of having to walk around.
Plus the fact that, you know, you're just, there's just more, at this point in the game, about halfway through, you're just getting more dungeon than, plot, really.
Yeah, because this part of the game deviates from the actual story, so they don't really have any cutscenes to fill it with.
Yeah, the next cutscenes are in, Heaven's Labyrinth, I guess? Like the anime ones?
That's where the next one is.
Is it?
Yeah, that's where the next anime cutscene is. There's like a couple of like 3D cutscenes.
There's a couple 3D cutscenes, like there's the turtle taking off.
Oh man, that one looks so bad.
Please move, NPC, thank you.
So now we're in probably the most confusing dungeon of the game.
I'll be talking, when I get there, I'll be talking out loud for the guide
Yeah.
again. Because it's very, even with, like, my, because of course, I use notes, because I have a very bad memory. So, even with my notes all spaced out to, like, line by line, it's still very difficult.
Yep. So I have to go all the way to the top of this side before I can continue the dungeon, because I have to hit a vine that blocks the exit to the dungeon. Or that you have to open in order to exit the dungeon, and if you don't hit that, then you basically have to go all the way back here if you miss it. And it's kind of like a weird design choice, but at least we don't have to worry about that. And so Ascot's now posing as a kid named Alto. Whoops.
It's totally not Ascot.
Yeah, even though he looks and sounds just like him.
He has his hat off. It's not him.
Clearly.
That monkey always hits me.
Oh, I just do a charge attack against him.
But, like, I mean, he always, like, drops down on my head.
Yeah, like now I just buffer a charge attack and hit him when he lands. That way I can just do a clean running dash. So we're gonna get a potion in this dungeon. It's partly safety, and also it allows us to do more magic attacks. Because basically we're gonna be coming up on a boss fight where the boss can one-shot you. And it's not fun. And it only one-shots you in the US version. In the Japanese version, the boss is quite the pushover.
I didn't know she could one-shot you.
Alcyone can if she runs in. Only if she runs into you.
Huh. I've never had that happen.
And then the butterfly can also one-shot you as well, I believe.
Really?
Yeah. So basically the boss is 3 separate enemies. I'll explain more when I get there. And you have to take out all 3 of them. And basically it's to mimic your own party. Whereas there's one healer, there's one heavy attacker, and there's one heavy magic attacker.
learning how to run.
Yeah. Oh, too much mashing. So Alcyone has captured Abner, and now we gotta save Abner, and our buddy Alto is gonna help us out.
With his purple magic.
Yep.
See, we have red, blue, and green magic, and some places, you know, that's not strong enough, so you gotta use purple magic to get through it. And Alto has purple magic.
Alright, so now we're entering the fight against Alcyone and her that she has picked up. And this is an unusual fight in that Alcyon's the only boss in the game where your physical do more damage than magic. For whatever reason, she's very resistant to magic.
She's mage.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, you know, the whole class thing, you know, a mage boss should be more resistant to magic.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is try to keep her from switching party members and take her out as quickly as possible because she's definitely the most dangerous.
The instant dash is
So basically we're just trying to time our attacks to keep her invincibility frames. There we go. And we want to kill her as quickly as possible before the butterfly has a chance to heal her.
Now you can lay out the boon in places where it wasn't previously possible to do
Yeah.
so.
There we go, I got Alcyone real quickly.
She's using my lines.
And so now we have this this scorpion lobster thing that kind of has weird invincibility frames. Basically, it only loses the invincibility frames when it attacks. And for the butterfly, you want to damage it before it casts its healing spell, because the moment you hear the sound effect for it, it means that the healing has gone off. So basically, I'm trying to move in a way to force the crab, lobster, scorpion thing to attack. Also, taking damages makes it attack. Oh dang, the butterfly is the only one left alive. I've never done that before.
That sounds annoying.
Oh, the butterfly can't do anything. It's great.
It just like heals itself, right?
It can't heal itself. That's the beauty of it.
Oh, so it just flies around.
Yep. Well, it casts the healing spell, but the butterfly can't heal itself.
Ha, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, I've never done that before. Usually, I'm always killing the butterfly before I have a chance to kill the other dude. But I was able to keep it on the scorpion a lot longer. So now we finally get the very last leaf on the Tree of Life. And now it can be used to turn into an elixir to save everybody, because apparently it has extremely powerful healing properties. And it can even cure amnesia. Hint, hint, that's a spoiler. Yeah. And Alcyone keeps getting thwarted at every corner. And now Ascot has turned against Zagot. Oh no, I've been timed out.
Then you hit the thing, then you go back upstairs, jump over the hole, okay. I got this, I totally know what I'm doing. The big thing with getting the run option is remembering to use it.
Yep. For me, it's come down to muscle memory from just doing it so much. Like, I sometimes even doing it when I do it when I don't even have access. It's like, wait, why am I running?
Come on, go inside. I always forget about that hermit crab there.
So, as Kari's going through this dungeon, there's these little hermit crabs who can reliably damage. And they hurt quite a bit in the US release, just like everything else. Like in the Japanese version, most enemies only do, but in the US version they do 4 or more sometimes. And then up here in my cutscene, there's going to be a little bit of Japanese edit, or I don't have no idea.
That hermit crab dodged my magic. Also, I missed
Like,
an enemy?
Alcyon Whispers of Caldina, and it's in Japanese.
My enemies were spread out like really bad to get that health potion.
Dang.
Like the hermit crab dodged it, and then
Yeah, you can't hurt the hermit crab with magic.
okay, I thought I had it happen before. Maybe I like stunned him or something, and then he got.
Yeah, and the hermit crab blocks the magic.
See, hermit crabs are just horrible. They do
Yeah.
too much damage.
But now I have an extra potion that I don't know what to do with it. Oh, I guess I don't have to get the potion in the next dungeon. But I don't remember which one is which in the chests. So now we're letting Abner have the credit for getting the leaf, so that he can woo Athena. And each time you see one of those like little upgrade animations, it's supposed to make the character a little bit stronger. And it shows in like character portraits as well as their armor changes, but you don't see it on their actual sprites.
Alright, that wasn't too bad for a dungeon.
Alright, now our buddy Lack Attack 24 makes an appearance. Was it we go to the Lack... And there's like a couple of things here, like a health and mana upgrade, I think. But we're mainly just coming here to cross the bridge and fall to our doom.
Huh, I didn't remember there's a health and there's upgrades in like the building or something?
I know there's at least one upgrade, but I don't remember if there's 2. But there's a rainbow amulet like all the way at the bottom and hit at a pot. Oh yeah, and then there's also one hidden inside like a water pool. So yeah, there's 2 rainbow amulets here.
Ah, the super butterfly healed because Umi got run into and I got stunned.
Dang. So now we're in the water cave. And I really don't like this dungeon. It's basically puzzle after puzzle. It's probably the only dungeon that's faster in the US version because they increased the speed of these skeleton dragons, and their moves extremely slow in the Japanese version, and you need them to hit some switches.
I killed Alcyon first.
Nice. That's like the ideal thing to do because Alcyon's like kind of annoying. So basically now we're just doing a bunch of little block pushing puzzles. And there's a lot of them in this dungeon.
That's what the health potion's for.
Yep. So basically I'm just doing puzzle after puzzle that I've memorized. There's like one over to the left of Rayearth that's a little bit more difficult, and by doing it you get a rainbow amulet. But rainbow amulets are slow.
I am not having luck with the butterfly.
No, that's rough. Well, I mean, at least the butterfly dies as long as you're hitting it.
Yeah, but I'm not hitting it is the problem.
Oh. I just use magic on it.
I do, but either I wasted some magic by hitting it with my charge attack by accident first and then pressing magic.
No.
Like not
Well,
expecting
at least
it
the
to
charge
switch.
attack does
I wasn't
similar
expecting
damage.
it to switch, basically.
Yeah.
Or it hits me, like just now, again. It hit me when moving, and, killed Umi again. I have to be really careful now, because, I don't want to get this, I don't want the scorpion to kill me.
Yeah, at least you have a lot of heals with, Fu. Oh, right. I always forget about that room.
But I have no clue how much health the scorpion has, because I kept getting healed, so.
Come on. Getting some bad RNG. Like one of that mantis thingy is just not following me.
Stop hitting me!
So basically, I just have to get enemies onto these pressure switches to open doors, and that's like the last one if I recall. Oh, right. So now we're gonna get Umi's third spell, which is exactly the same as her second spell, but the only difference is it can kill certain enemies like these large ones. And mainly the Geljan dragons, because those are invulnerable except to Umi's third spell. But functionally it does the same exact damage as the other one, and it has the same range. I think it even has like the same casting animation time.
Pretty much. I think, is it a little bit laggier maybe, just because there's more stuff doing on the screen maybe? I have no idea. I just follow what you wrote down for using what spells at what time, so I have no clue.
Yeah. Well, both of them are fairly laggy.
What's the meaning of this, Caldina?
I was doing so well on that boss, and then just like the crab kept running into me, and the
In
butterfly
order to
kept
figure out
healing
the
as
girl's
usual.
weaknesses,
I'm still saving time on my splits, so...
That's
Do you
awesome.
expect us to believe that pathetic lie?
Lie? Why, in Nova, I'm
So, like,
shocked
the
and
puzzle for
hurt
this
that
room
you
is to
would
kill
even
those two
think
enemies
such a
with your
dreadful
ice
thing.
magic.
Don't trouble yourself, Anova.
And this room, we have to kill all these crab things.
I shall soon know it.
Luckily, Fu's pretty strong against crabs.
Ascot, are you trying to get us killed?
Spying?
Awesome. So that's the chest I wanted.
Is that so?
What? Who's there?
So I'm taking like a very specific passes. There's invisible.
I'm not so certain. If I didn't know better, I'd say Ascot looked like he was enjoying himself.
So now we got some appearing platforms
Don't be
here.
ridiculous. Ascot's
worst
not
room.
a traitor. He'd never
Yeah.
do such a thing.
It's pretty bad.
The
And
platforms are
besides,
very picky.
What about you? You've got some nerve showing your sorry face around here.
I made it through without too much trouble.
If I just
'Cause you're,
happened
like,
to tell
the best at
Zagat
this
about
game.
your little visit,
Well, when there's
the
only
end
two
of your
people.
party for sure.
Yeah, exactly. When there's only, even when there's only two
Perhaps,
people, there's one
but
person
I
that's the
don't
best
think
and there's one
now
person
is
that's the
best
worst.
time for you to go running to Zagat either.
Enough! I can do without your sarcasm right now.
This
Why are
cutscene
you
between
treating me as
Alcyon
an
and Caldina is
adversary?
that other long one I'd mentioned.
Can't you
It's
see
so
we're in this
long
together,
and it's voiced.
Friend?
Yep.
Together?
Alright, so
You
in
make
that
me
room I was
sick.
just in, it's a dark
Don't
room, but there's a
insult
lot
my
of little invisible
intelligence,
net,
you
and
scheming
you have to kill them
hag.
all, so it's easier just to like spam Fu's magic. It took a little bit longer than normal,
No,
sadly.
no,
Normally it only takes about 2 casts, but they
No
were
need
in a
to rip a
bad
seam.
position.
You see,
And so now Ascot
Quite
is
a
betraying
spoon.
Caldina by helping us take
Oh,
down
really?
Zagat,
I'm all
because
ears.
Ascot has realized the error of his
if we
ways,
head off the
and
Magic
he wants to
Knight
do good.
wannabes at their next stop.
But now we don't trust him because he's revealed who he really is, and terrible things he's done.
Got it!
And now Alcyon's come in to pit the brother and sister against each other. And then Ascot comes in, tries to save us from Caldina's attack, and gets himself killed. And now Caldina blames us for it, and is going to try to kill us.
Yep, top 10 anime game betrayals.
It gets even more betrayal-y after this. So we're just going to Zerg her down with magic. We got a lot of magic potions, so we're just going to Zerg her down. And after a certain amount of damage, she does a dance and changes the room. And so now we're in a room with coals that we can't step on.
You have to be careful not to hit her during, use your magic during the dance or when she's cooling down from it, because those are her iframes.
Yep.
When you're leaving the Tree of Life town, you want to go to the right side, where Alto's basically standing. If you go to the left, you'll end up in the Rainbow Junction shop, and you'll have to, wait for the loading screen and your little transfer on the world map, and then another loading screen. Then you gotta leave, wait for another loading screen, the little transfer, another loading screen.
Yeah, it wastes a lot of time. I've done that before. So, I didn't actually need to get that potion. Sweet.
Yeah, I think it was actually my practice run against the Alcyone and the bugs that I didn't use a health potion, and I was like, wait, I opened a chest, I'm like, wait a minute, I have a health potion already?
So there, in that cutscene that we just skipped, Caldina gets killed by Nova, who's another of Zap's minions. Because she's deemed no longer fit to they got. So everybody that we're trying to save is dying. We're killing more people than we're helping.
I'm mashing buttons so hard that I jumped slightly before I fell down off the bridge.
Nice.
Told you I mash buttons really fast.
No kidding. Yes, my master. Oh, it's my lord.
Oop, why am I pressing A? Oh, because I was swimming and I didn't realize I was not swimming. I'm like, I'm gonna move by mashing A.
Alright, now we go to the lake village of Lequita, where there's a giant island that's been ravaging the town. As strange as that sounds. But it turns out it's actually a lake monster. It's not really a monster, or even part of the lake, just kind of stuck there. I don't know, it's weird. But basically we have to go save the town from the lake monster that's been causing havoc and destruction. And broke some woman's arm, indirectly by just by walking around and causing earth tremors, which caused a bookcase to fall on this woman. And her son is pretty pissed off about that. So we got to try to talk some sense into him, and the father's like, "Hey, thanks for talking sense into him. You can stay the night here for free at my inn." Because I guess they don't believe in charging people to stay at an inn.
This game really doesn't. I mean, also, you don't really need inns because you restore all your health in those fountains, so why do people need inns?
To take a nap.
But you're still hungry.
Yeah. Wait a minute, is that a Chrono Trigger reference?
Yes.
I can actually pick up on that now. So now the giant beast is walking around and woke us up from. So now we gotta go deal with him.
get these rooms in this puzzle dungeon mixed up. So, like, I'm like, oh, this is a room where I need Umi. Oh, no, I need Fu here.
Alright, so now this is very laggy. It's hard to tell, but you can tell when the text is moving that it's very laggy here. So now this is basically like a two-part forest dungeon. And we basically have to go to each side and collect these little pendants or amulets of some sort. One's called Twilight, and I forget what the other one's called. A medallion, Twilight medallion, and I forget what the other one's called. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take damage on our way there, because we want to die at the end of each one to respawn it back at the beginning of the dungeon. Because it's a lot faster than making our way all the way back. And luckily, enemies really hurt here. And this is only in the US version that they hurt this much. In the Japanese version, it's a lot harder to do this trick. Or maybe not trick, but strat. There we go. Okay, I'm a little bit lower than I'd like. So I'm gonna kill that, even though I normally don't. Because I have to do a damage boost. Basically, there's like a little gnat tree here that you can damage boost that you're to kill. Dang. Okay, that's fine. Ah! Okay, not fine.
This is not fine.
Okay, so I'm gonna heal Fu, even though that's gonna waste some time, because I don't want to die before I get the medallion. And mash to swim, because that's always a good idea. Let's see, take some damage from this butterfly here. One more. Awesome. Perfect. Down to 1 health so we can die right after we get the medallion.
Darn it, I went the wrong way.
Sunrise
oh,
and Twilight.
Mantis is standing there. I have to go that way. No, he was moved.
You can just
I'm really bad at that
mash it down with. You can mash down the mantis with Umi.
Yeah, which I did. It's just annoying, so I went the wrong direction.
Oh, yeah. Alright, so now we took our first of 2 intentional deaths in this game. And dying is very safe. If you die, you just go back to the start of the dungeon. Nothing. You don't lose anything. You don't get any sort of penalty other than lost time if you die in an unfortunate position. So that side's the easy side. The next side is much more difficult. There's a lot more enemies that do a lot of damage to you. And we're also going to grab 2 chests which contain a health potion and a mana potion. Health potion refills your health, mana, and revives any dead party members. Whereas the mana just refills your mana. So like the health potions are crazy powerful, but we'll never actually use it for more than restoring our mana in a run. On average. Occasionally you might need it for actually restoring health on one fight. So this second half here is actually a lot more difficult to navigate. Because there's a lot of like false paths, and getting around can be kind of tricky because like there's also you have to swim around the water a bit, and it pushes you down the waterfall, so you'd have to start over if you fall.
Oh come on! There we go. Oh, I can just come on, please jump. Please jump. Thank you, Fu.
Okay, walk
Glad
through
I healed there.
Yeah, healing can be a boon. So now we're swimming against the current just to get around. Go. So normally they expect you to light this tree on fire, then put it out in order to pass it, but we can just damage boost right through it. Alright, now we have both medallions, and my damaging wasn't as optimal as I'd like. Now, just waiting. There we go. And now we respawn with full health and mana, ready to fight. Which is going to be a giant turtle, the size of a small island. And he's nice enough to reveal his weak point to us. So basically all the damage this giant turtle was causing was basically him trying to get the growth off his back, which was like all these trees and shrubs. And we're going to help him out and then take him on. Because we're nice like that. We help people out and then kill them. So at this point, Fu is quite fallen off on damage in the game, so... And Umi. Because Fu is our resident healer and support character. So basically, we're just going to use our magic and then finish it. Okay, there we go. Although this is probably the only boss that we don't really kill because it's actually a helpful dude. And here, Makona makes his appearance for the second time in the game in a very long time. Because we haven't seen him since the Forest of Silence near the beginning of the game. And he can communicate with the giant turtle. And it turns out that he's not so bad. And he's actually going to help us to our next destination.
Question. Do you use both your potions on Caldina when you fight her the second time?
Yeah, but I'm noticing with the extra mana on Umi that it might not...
Yeah, because I guess I pick up 1 or 2 extra and like magic on Umi, so that I only need to use the 1 potion.
Yeah, I was noticing that. I use like right after I use the second potion. It's like, wait a minute, I didn't need that.
Nova.
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be
Now let's see
faster
what
to like
you're
just hit her
capable of,
instead and
shall
not
we?
even just like hitting her physically and not wasting that last potion.
Yeah, it would have been the same just to hit her, but then, I mean, even then, you probably wouldn't have had that grab that potion in the first place since you couldn't get them in the next area.
Right. It's worth testing.
Yeah, well, I just noticed that in that fight that I didn't need it. That I didn't need the second potion, so it's not really... Now that we get extra mana on Umi, I guess it's not worthwhile. Alright, now we're in the Sky Garden of... or something like that. Auroria, I don't know. They don't exactly tell you the pronunciation. And now we're gonna go talk to the mayor of the town because we want to go to the Heaven's Labyrinth and see the statue where our next giant robot is. I forgot about the giant robots. It's been a long time since they were mentioned. And the mayor, being a nice guy, he just kicks us out and says, "Screw you! I'm not letting you in." Because it turns out that he's not letting anybody in to see and pray and worship the statue.
I'm gonna be super rusty at this run because this is where my last practice got to, was to this town. So
I
Gotta be
believe in
super
you.
rusty.
So now we're gonna go stay at the inn because we need some time to think, and let the mayor think as well. So we're gonna go do that. And we're the first customers this inn has had in a very long, because basically they've cut off all communication with the lower world because we're up in the sky.
Because the turtle could fly or something.
Yeah. So now we're gonna go talk to the mayor again and see if they'll help us out. And it turns out that the key was stolen, and we're immediately blamed for it, even though we were literally asking about it, or just because we were asking him about it. And now we're going to be thrown into the dungeon.
Nope, I went the wrong way in the inn. I'm stupid. Nope, I'm going the wrong way. The stairs are right here.
So now we're in the dungeon where there's conveniently 3 beds. Although they look very uncomfortable, like they're just wooden planks.
I mean, it is a prison. What do you expect?
Yeah. Although it's a prison where Fu knows how to pick locks.
It's a cheap prison. What do you expect?
And now we're going to be playing a little bit of Metal Gear Solid stealth action. So basically we have to take our way to the study and avoid detection by the guards, which all look the same. They must all be like cousins or brothers or something.
How's the run going? I mean, Shentok is winning, obviously. He's like an entire dungeon ahead, so...
Metal Gear. Magic Knight. So basically we just want to avoid the patrol. And they give you a decent chunk of leeway in avoiding the guards. But there's actually a couple that can troll you if you're unprepared. And if you get caught at all, you get sent all the way back to the dungeon room and get an extra cutscene. Which is quite annoying.
Heck.
And also can be a little spooky. And luckily, luckily guards only pay attention to their character control. So they see all these other girls running around, he doesn't care. So now we gotta wait for this guard to make us patrol before we can move to another location. Because conveniently, there's like a way around, but there's another guard positioned just in a way that you can't do that. Oh, it makes it, like, if you get caught, it makes a sound effect like there should be an exclamation point, but there's no exclamation point to accommodate it, or accompany it. So, we're actually Fu for a specific reason, because in order to find out how the perpetrator got in and stole the key, we have to be as Fu to discover it, because she's the only one with the perception to notice. And also, when you pick the lock, Fu is closer to the door and, you know, saving the frames, all that jazz. So now we're covered in soot, but we found out how the perpetrator got in, and we find Ferrio's flute. So now we're gonna go confront him and see what's up. But it turns out he's seeing some hooded woman who's suspicious. And Ferrio's also covered in soot. So now we're gonna go down to where the inn is, but we're gonna go talk to Rafargo, who's conveniently here and in his battle armor, wanting to help us out. He just gives us an idea of like, hey, why don't you go wait by the gate for the perpetrator to show up. So now we get a little bit of a break here, and we do some people watching. She's wearing glasses. How's your adventure in the forest dungeon going?
I just finished the one side and I'm trying to get knocked out now. Sorry, I got
Nice.
muted because the dog had to go out.
Oh. Yeah. I was wondering why it was so quiet.
Sorry. I
Hey, no
muted. I was
worries.
like fumbling for my mute thing as I'm trying to get through this dungeon. I'm taking damage and I'm like, I don't want to die yet. But I just finished the right side, so.
Nice. So we see our boy Fario has the gate, has the key, and turns out he actually is the thief. And okay, so now we're coming up to the only major skip in the game. It was found by a fella on YouTube. Watched my runs. Is like, hey, I want to break this game. And this was the only one he really found that turned out to be useful for the run so far. There might be more. He said he wanted to work on a task, but we'll see how that comes along. So basically, normally you're supposed to get a spell here for Fu to complete the dungeon, and it's basically a hover spell. But if you jump into this loading screen just right, it remaps the area. Let's see, did I get it? And you can tell, well, you'll be able to tell when it happened. There we go. So basically, we remapped into a new area, and we have the collision of a different area, but the visuals of the area that's normally there. And so because of that, we're now at the end of the dungeon. We basically skipped all the puzzles, collecting the spell, waiting for a bunch of moving platforms. This is a very moving platform-heavy area that you have to wait on cycles for. Because there's no zero or first cycle, it's just basically a bunch of waiting. But we just skipped the entire dungeon. And honestly, this is the only part of the game where Detective Win has any use. You can actually technically use it casually to collect some extra health, mana upgrades, and extra rainbow amulets. Okay, so now we're here. We're confronting Fario and the mysterious woman who looks suspiciously like Alcyone. And Farga makes his appearance as well. And it turns out he's under mind control by Zagot. And he fights it, and tragic things happen by fighting mind control. And he walks off the edge of this floating island, plummeting down to Earth, and also revealing Alcyone, who's not willing to fight us directly this time. This time she's using a giant bird to do her bidding. And this is the last fight in the game where Fu's magic does the same damage as everyone else's. My guess is that this boss has a wind weakness, considering this dungeon is basically to showcase Umi Fu. And so, like with most other bosses, we just zerg it down with. And this boss is definitely more cool with that.
Alright, we're through the left side.
Nice.
I always get lost at, like, just one point where it's like you need to go in the water and then go into the cave, and it's just like... Nope.
So at some point during the boss, Alcyone comes in and makes the boss all glowy. It doesn't seem to do anything other than change its appearance, because it doesn't do any extra damage, doesn't have any new abilities. It starts glowing.
It makes it harder to see, because it kind of gets invisible. So it's a little bit harder to see where he's going.
It makes it more flickery, but when you're using magic, it doesn't really matter. So now our boy Fario is no longer under mind control, and he's our boy again. And we finally found our second giant robot, and his name is... I think Umi's name is like Celeste or something like that.
Yeah, Wyndham is Fu's, and Saris or Salis
Saris, that's it.
Is Umi's.
Yeah. So if you remember, like an hour and a half ago, we got our first robot, and soon we're gonna get our third robot in like the next 10 minutes. And now we're talking about the aftermath of Zaygot's. And now the right-hand man in Nova is gonna finally take care of things. Because you always gotta save your best for last. Although I feel like all of this could have been avoided if you sent out a Nova in the first out. We were still weak little fledglings, new to our magic.
But then there wouldn't be a plot.
Yeah, but then Zaygot would have won, and the world would have been his. And so now, conveniently, there's a elevator here that takes us where we want to go. And it takes us to some old guy's house in the woods. Dang, Nori's outing me.
Poo-poo. Much poo-poo.
Alright, so now we're at some old guy's house in the woods. We find our boy Rafarga, but he's lost his memory. And somehow we survived the thousands of feet of fall. And so now we talk to the old guy. He tells us about the Tree of Life, how it has properties, and he's like, well, we were already there. Let's go back and see if they'll give us some of the elixir they made to cure our boy. Oop, went the wrong way. And thankfully, we do have the fast travel, so we don't have to go from loading screen to loading screen. We can just get to where we want to go. Now, there's only one area in the game that we never go to in the speedrun, and that's Rainbow Junction, Kari mentioned earlier, because we don't get any rainbow amulets to go there. The items there are mostly cosmetic for fun. The only really useful item is the items that lets you escape dungeons, and also one that restores your mana by standing still, but they're very slow to have.
Yeah, the original, like, when I originally routed this game, I said, oh, well, we should get those, because they're useful. But,
turns out it wastes a lot of time to get them.
Yeah, getting the rainbow amulets takes a lot of time because of the, little text box that you get when you open the chest every time, and then having to do the loading screen to actually
Change
go
items.
there, and you need, like, 7, I think, of each kind or something?
5 or 6. But you don't get enough until way late in the game.
Yeah, you get the escape gem, like, at the same time you're doing the lake dungeon, I want to say, and so you can, which is, like, the only dungeon you need to backtrack in, really?
Yep.
And then the magic gem, the magic one, restoring one, all that does is, when you're standing still, it slowly restores your magic.
Very
but you don't want to be
slowly.
standing still.
Yeah.
Go south across the bridge and west to the inn. I know where I'm going.
And it's just like, well, dying is pretty safe, so you can just die instead of giving the escape gem.
Because you're going to be backtracking anyway, so...
Yep. And that cut out a massive chunk of time.
I mean, you know, you beat my speedrun time just from, I guess, execution, even though you took a break partway through. The first time you casually ran the game.
Yeah.
Maybe your Saturn loads faster or something, I don't know.
I don't know. If it loaded faster, I'd have the... Do not.
The fastest loading Saturn ever. I need to do that. I need to put, like, double up the videos and see where I lose all my time.
Alright, so now our boy Rafarga is beyond hope from mind control. And we gotta take him out.
I'm just about to enter the stealth section and hopefully not mess it up.
I believe in you, Kari.
I always mess it up, though.
Whoa. For whatever reason, my magic on Numia changed. Oh, beat the spell. And for whatever reason, Rafarga changes color when he's almost dead.
Because every boss does. They turn red. It's like a thing. When you're
Oops, I
evil
killed-
and you're angry and you're low HP, you turn red.
I killed Umi.
Alright, let's not mess the stealth section up.
Okay, well he's dead anyways. So our boy Rafarga is dead. Not by our hands. He tells us to kill him, but we don't wanna. We hesitate. So Nova comes in and does the job for us because he's a nice guy like that. Does the dirty work that we can't do ourselves, despite all the people we've been killing. All the killing we do, and we can't even kill our own friends. So we make a nice burial for him, and a volcano suddenly erupts as we bury him. And that's where our final machine is. So we're gonna go there and take care of that. Because now the story is just like speeding along at the speed of sound. And so what's really nice about this game is after every boss fight, you get your health and mana back. Technically.
Alright, let's see if I remember how to do this last one. The last guard is the hardest one, I think.
If you hug, like, after you go into that little alcove and you hug the bottom wall when you're by, you can see you. Because he'll be off the screen and not loaded.
Yeah, for some reason I always mess it up. I don't know why. It's what I usually end up forget about just going in the middle part, and there we go. I did the first try. Okay, I usually
Nice.
forget about just going straight to the middle alcove, and I go up and around.
Oh, I've never done that. That
Which,
sounds
yeah,
really scary.
You go up and around, and then you have to like wait for that other guy to you actually have to dodge him instead of just ignoring him. So.
Yeah.
Okay. I hate the stealth section just because I don't know, the sight boxes of those guards are really weird. So sometimes they'll see you when you think you're hidden and you're just like maybe a pixel into their sight box.
Yeah. Alright, so now I'm getting the last spell in the game, named after Ikaru's dog, Flash. It is truly the most powerful spell in the game. It can 3-shot any boss, but it costs 10 mana to use, which is everything we have. And that's why we have the potions, and so we can make more use of that, so we can get 2 hits in instead of 1, and just, like, completely decimating boss's HP. So normally in this section, if you're to play casually, you could use... Ooh, dang, that's bad. Fu's Protective Wind, hover over the lava, but because we skipped that spell, we don't get to use it. And technically you're not supposed to be able to skip it, but with the nice little glitch, or the nice little wrong warp, I guess would be the best way to put it, but we can just completely skip getting that spell.
It makes the final dungeon just a lot more sane for casual, and really, I like it just because since your controls are slippery and it's lava and you get bounced around all over the place and it gets laggy when any of those fire snakes are on the screen. It's really helpful, but the time between like skipping it and the time between skipping the whole dungeon versus getting that and using it for the final dungeon, it just evens out that skipping it is a little faster.
Yeah. So we used to route Fu's mana upgrades in a way that we could use it twice in this dungeon. But now we just give those mana to Umi so that she can use more magic.
Alright, I'm gonna try the skip now.
Nice. No, I fell.
Alright, so gotta land my jump outside of the screen.
Yep. As close as you can to outside the screen. That's how I've noticed it. Sometimes it can be a little finicky. Like you'll see at times where it looks like it, but it doesn't. No. Dang, that fire worm really wrecked me. I'm just gonna kill that. So basically, unless you're on a solid platform, and if you like fall in the lava, you'll go back, platform instead of like the ones that are moving. Because you know it makes sense to do that, because you wouldn't want to be perpetually stuck in lava. Although I lost a lot of time in that room because of that.
Come on, glitch. Please work. There we go. Okay.
Nice. That wasn't so bad. Like even like no matter how much 7-8 minutes long.
Yeah, it's just I think I kind of get the feel of it. You don't want to be in the middle of your jump. You want to be like just starting to land your jump, but still in the air, sort of. I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah. So now we find Alcyone. She's bleeding to death, and basically she's in love with Zagat, and Zagat is in love with the princess that he currently has captured. And so Alcyone, instead of letting us help her, she decides that she wants to die instead.
Do you want to use Umi's second or third level magic on the giant bird?
They both do the same damage.
Okay. I was just curious because I had the second one turned on. I'm like, I think that's right. Like I said, it's been a while since I've been in this dungeon, so...
Yeah.
Anime cutscenes.
Dang, I lost Umi. Alcyone was trolling me pretty hard.
She usually goes down pretty easy for me, but...
Well, I was like, just in bad positioning, and she kept going off
like,
screen.
Came on top of you or something.
Yeah.
Alright,
there we
giant
go.
board. I'm so bad at dodging it when it does the gust of wind.
Yeah. So this is the only fight in the game where you don't get your health back after defeating the boss. And now we get our final machine, the giant, I don't know, fire dog thing, Rayearth, which is in the title of the game. Don't completely understand why.
Because Hikaru's the main character, that's why.
Yeah, but why is it called Magic Knight Rayearth? It sounds like that Rayearth is a magic knight. When Hikaru is the magic knight.
Bird, power up now!
So even though Clef is turned to stone, he can still communicate with us through Makona. But now we finally have all our 3 machines, and we can make our... which is currently shrouded in a magic veil.
Yay, gold split.
Nice.
I just had to not mess up.
Nice.
At this rate, I'm actually gonna get a sub 3, so...
We need to get Chubbas to do a Legend of Illusion run.
It's a shame I couldn't stay more even with you to actually, like, get a huge chunk of time left, but...
I'm pretty sure Chubbas is asleep, actually. I think he took a nap.
Wow, rude.
Rude.
Let's make Chubbas do a sleepy Magic of Illusion run.
Yeah. I was promised Legend of Illusion today. And now, since this is a dungeon, we have to exit it before we can fast to Precia's house.
Yeah, for whatever reason, the very, like, first screen of that area is still considered dungeon.
Yep. Which means more loading screens. Because everybody loves those.
Curse the fortitude of Rafarga. His will was much stronger than we had anticipated. How do you wish to address this situation, dear lord?
Equip your armor and go, Innova. I pray you do not fail.
I forgot my phone
do
goes on
exactly
automatic
as
do
you
not disturb
desire,
mode, which is like my
my
roommate was like, hello. It goes on do not disturb at 10, and I was like, oh, it's after 10, isn't it?
That's always a good plan, that way it doesn't wake you up in the middle of the night. And conveniently, Precia has a fountain in her. And now that we've got everything, Precia is going to help us get to where we need to go, which is back where we started at the very beginning of the game. When we first landed in Sephiroth, which is called the Cape of Legend for some reason.
Yeah, because it's where the legend of the Magic Knights is born.
That's true, but it seems way too convenient. Because, I mean, we just fell out of the sky.
Yeah, right onto the Cape of Legend, where the legends of the Magic Knights are born. We are the Magic Knights, therefore...
Was it named after we came there, or before?
Before, because it was said in the prophecy, like, at this specific cape. This is where they will spawn.
Okay. Kari with the lore drop.
That's totally how it goes.
Alright, so before we can summon our giant robots, we have to deal with Innova. Who turns out isn't what he seems. And it turns out he's a giant wolf that was originally protector Princess Emerald's castle and given human form and intelligence by Zagot. And yeah. So now we're just gonna get rid of him because he... Just like we get rid of everyone else. And we get our boy Fario in here to out. He lobs off the guy's horn so that we can damage him. And this boss has a really simple AI. Basically, he always wants to be above you. So all we do is just run to the top and we can keep him up there. But the only downside, this boss has long invincibility frames. He was in over his head.
But tish. That's a good one, actually. I haven't heard that one. Lake Village, Sky Garden, Whispering Woods.
So we're gonna use one of the potions we have to refill our mana just to take down this guy. Like I said, Hikaru's flash magic is crazy powerful.
Did I just leave by accident? I did somehow.
Would you leave?
The Whispering Woods. Somehow I went to the Rainbow Junction shop by accident. Oh, because I left north by accident. I was trying to run left, and it's like, no, I'm gonna take you north.
So now we have to talk to Fario because he's in our way, and now we talk to Cliff, and basically this is like our point of no return. And by saying yes here, we summon the robots and go to Zagot's castle, where we can no longer leave the game, do other things. And we get our boy giant robot Rayearth. And in true anime fashion, we each summon our robots and do a coordinated attack to destroy the palace's barrier and make a landing.
Man, I can't believe I went through that loading screen. So now everybody knows what it's like, what I mean when I say you go the wrong way and you have to wait through a loading screen. And then the map, and then a loading screen, and then go back and repeat everything.
Yeah.
Just demonstrating for the chat. So in the forest, before, like, when you're going through to fight Rafarga, like, afterwards, you can, like, there's, like, little secret paths in between the trees, and I think there's, like, a magic upgrade in one of them that's very hard to get, because the paths are, like, not well-defined.
Alright, so now I'm fighting Zegat. Basically, he's invincible whenever he has a glow around him, and so we just have to time our attacks between that. Luckily, it's pretty easy to time our way. And this boss has a lot of health, so luckily Hikaru's attack deals a lot of damage. And this boss also hurts a lot too in the English version. So now we've taken him down, but he's not dead yet. The final boss can never have just one form. So he has his own giant robot too, and now we're changing gameplay styles from a top-down Zelda-esque adventure game to a shmup. And the shmup section is kind of weird here. Basically, each character has their own form of attack, doing various damage. In a weird twist of fate, Umi now deals the least damage, with magic still doing the most damage by far, but your magic use is very limited. So we're just like wasting our magic to take out his shield and him. And in the US version, he hits a lot harder. And so we want to use Hikaru as much as possible because she does the most damage.
She gets, main character powers there.
Yeah. Oh man, he's just summoning bees like crazy.
Are you getting all the bees?
Yep. So now we've taken out his shield, now he made... And we have to wait for him to do the attack before we attack him. Haha. Luckily, Hikaru hasn't died yet. So that means this is actually a pretty decent fight.
Almost didn't skip that cutscene.
And sometimes he'll do that swipe attack twice, and that swipe attack takes a... I will say I like this track a lot in the game.
Alright, just walking over to the layer of truth now.
Ooh, she's dead.
Don't like this dungeon just because of the,
So yeah, Hikaru does the most damage by fire. Fu doing the second most damage. And Umi, despite being the strongest in the rest of the game, is now the weakest. But now we finally take down the evil Zegat. But it's not over yet. We now have to go free the princess. But Zegat has been defeated and now he is dead. But there's a bit of a caveat now. we're not actually gonna save the princess. She's pretty pissed off that we killed her lover. As it turns out, she was in love with Zagot, and now she's pretty pissed off about it. Now, instead of being the savior of the Sephiroth, we have to go kill her. Because the princess that we have to save is the true villain. Because basically she can't control her magic anymore. Too distraught with despair over losing Zagot. And in true anime fashion, we can't kill Emerald as our own 3 robots. We have to fuse them into one super robot to take on the Princess Emerald's mighty robot. And that's where Makona comes in. He helps us facilitate the fusion of robots.
I jumped. Now all the falling rocks are moving. So a cool
Dang.
thing that you might not know in this dungeon here, in the Layer of Truth, you can use Umi's water magic to cool off the fountain that's there to heal if you're running low. Nope, you want to go south.
So you get this weird spell that you can only use once because they don't give you enough mana to use it. And it does a small chunk of damage, but I'm mainly using it for the min frames. Because when you take damage, you're stunned and you can't damage the boss, of course. But the weird thing is, like, you can even give yourself infinite mana and you can't kill this boss. The magic is just impossible to kill this boss with.
Sorry, I paused there. I was like, oh, I don't know how. I forget if I need to go up or on the teleporter, because I got lost in the guide. Use the one on the right. Go up, follow the path in the direction.
Okay, so I do not want to die to this boss.
The final boss?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you don't want to die to the final boss.
Like, the boss has a set pattern, pretty easy to avoid if you're paying attention, which I was not. And now that we've destroyed all our parts, all that's left is her head. It's basically set in a way that even if you only you still have to destroy the other parts. And time is coming up for me very shortly.
Alright, don't use flash too early, because that is bad.
Time.
Alright. GG Shentok.
Thanks. Dang, that was pretty close to.
Yeah, that was. I was looking. I was like, oh my god, is he gonna get world record?
I mean, I have a lot of time to save just from execution, but I'm a little bit rusty.
2:37.34, and his world record is 2:36.56. He was only like 35 seconds off.
If I didn't mess up on the second Alcyon, or the third Alcyon fight, I probably would have had.
That is absolutely incredible. Very impressive.
Please stop.
Thank you. And now Emerald's dead, but not really. But now that we freed Emerald and killed her, we can be sent back home with our memories intact.
How many times did you play this to practice it?
Oh wait, you're supposed to use your potion here.
Before this marathon?
Yeah.
Twice.
Okay.
It's not like I said, it's not a difficult game.
I messed up.
But I don't run this as much as I used to because it's rough on my hand. Like the mashing.
It's long, and also you have to wait 25 minutes at the beginning.
Yeah, well, it's like the first 20 minutes is just mashing through text, and then there's a lot of text through, and it's just rough on my hand.
Do you recommend you save? Because I used my health potion on Alcyone by accident because I read wrong. Should I save it for Zygotta or Nova?
Whichever fight you think is more difficult for you.
I don't
Personally,
know which one is more difficult.
I think Nova's easier.
Alright, hopefully I won't mess up a Nova, but I'll lose time there, because Umi died on Alcyone, and I panicked, and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to use my health, I'm supposed to use my potion here. I was reading the wrong part of my game. Because I'm stupid like that, and I'm really bad at this game.
It happens. It's a tough game to practice just because there's a lot of waiting stuff.
And also just reading my guide wrong, because I still have to use a guide to get through the dungeons. Oh, now I need to sit here for another, like, 20 minutes or so with me playing this, seeing all the stuff we already saw, so,
return me to
But hey, you're on a sub-3 pace.
The power of the magic knights
yeah, it's just,
can no
I'm gonna
longer
lose
be
time in
ignored.
the next fight now, and,
It is my duty
I believe
to
in you,
destroy
Kari.
them before
die
they
against
become
Eternal
powerful
Spiral
enough
or
to
something.
threaten you. But to accomplish that, I must abandon this frail shell.
But as you can see in the credits, we will be thanking Mountain, and I believe Code Red as well. I don't remember if they think
Code Red wasn't out yet.
Oh, okay.
Code Red is only in Growlancer.
Oh, okay. But we're thanking our buddies Mountain Dew, because without them we wouldn't have working designs, it seems.
And also patient Saturn fans.
Yeah. Because they waited a long time between announcing this game and
all 8 of them.
And half of them are here. There's surprisingly a lot more Saturn fans than you'd think, but not enough that actually are interested in speed.
Like, I'm becoming a Saturn fan. I need to buy a Saturn. It's going to be after my computer, my next big thing.
Yes, buy a Saturn, speedrun Saturn games. Use burned discs if you have to, but speedrun Saturn games.
That's probably what I'm going to have to do. There's no Saturn EverDrive.
There's one in the works, but I mean, I don't know if it'll be speedrun legal technically. Depends on how well it emulates load times.
That is a good point.
Like, there's one out right now that replaces the drive with an SD card. Like,
that is instantaneous, I assume.
Yeah, instant loads. And then there's another one that's going to be in the video cards. Basically, there's like an expansion slot where you can enter an MPEG decoding card for like the 2 games that use it. And he's basically using that slot because he can interrupt the CD calls and you can use it without having to replace the CD drive. So we thank our buddy Mountain Dew for making this run happen. Might Saturn me down. Alright, so now Kari is entering the Cape of Legend.
GG to Shentok. Everyone give Shentok a round of applause, but let's not forget Kari here. Let's keep it good.
Kari's here on an amazing PV.
Yeah. It is not over yet.
I didn't local record, like, just through Amaranth local record again, so I'm gonna have to use the OBS recording for the video once more.
Hey, it's all good.
At least you do that. I don't even do that.
Luckily, I have a 4 terabyte drive in my computer for recording video onto.
Yeah, this recording ended up being like over 300 gigs because I accidentally forgot to set it to 720p and it was recording at 1080.
That 1080p Saturn.
It's fancy.
Well, I have it coming in the capture card to 720p, but I forgot to adjust it.
Yeah, I need to test this capture card with Amberec to make sure it can actually record when OBS is open. Please stop hitting me. Come here, Nova. Oh, need something like Daphne.
Yeah, I mean, you use up your magic, it's really easy. Because especially since you have that extra spell on Umi, he should go down to the red color.
Stop running into me, it'd be nice. I can't. He's staying above me for some reason this time.
Well, that's what you want, is to have him above you.
I thought you wanted him below you, like slightly.
No, he'll never below. He can never be below. Always. That's like the way his AI works. Like, he'll only go below you when he's charging at you.
Oop, I didn't know he did that. That
yeah.
Down, so we'll see how this goes.
Oh well, Picard is just as good. Oh yeah, that electric attack, I forgot about that. He doesn't do that very often. I guess because it's like his most powerful attack. But yeah, his AI is set up in a way where he always that dash attack.
It's very hard to dodge, though.
Yeah. It's easier with Umi just because she has a longer attack range. But at least you have a lot of healing to back you up. So Fu's heal is really strong. Like after a certain, but it's still very strong.
There we go.
Nice.
Not too much, like maybe about a minute, just about a minute lost there.
That's not so bad.
So all of our friends are here, but you just only need to talk to Fario.
Yep, Fairy is the only important friend.
Well, all of our alive friends are here.
Yeah. The ones that were strong enough to survive.
They're all the ones that didn't fight us, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
So for some reason, Fu loses her glasses when she gets her final Magic Knight form.
What did she lose?
Her glasses. She doesn't need to wear them anymore for some reason. They just
Really?
disappear.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, look at that. I've never noticed that before.
Yeah,
I always
it's
thought
like
something
a
was
little plot
off.
point in the manga. They noticed it, like, Fu, where'd your glasses go? She's like, I don't know, but I can see just fine.
It sounds like they just got lazy drawing them.
Alright. Let's hopefully not mess up the last 3 bosses. Because it is kind of late here, so... Please hit that ball before the animation stops. So yeah, when Zegat is glowing white, he's invincible, so you have to be a little careful with your magic. Just to make sure that you don't Wasted, especially Flash.
Yeah, Flash is too important to throw around liberally. And like I said, it just decimates bosses. Although there's only 4 bosses that you could do face with it, like, no, 3 bosses.
So I didn't even need to use another spell with, like, any more Umi spells. 2 flashes and however many arrows that was, like 3 or 4. I don't know how much MP I have.
Did you waste all your MP?
I did all my MP and then used a potion and then used flash once more.
Okay.
So I didn't need, after the second flash, I didn't need to attack with Umi again.
Gotcha.
Shmup.
Yep, and now we shmuppin'.
Oopie. Wait, wasted my magic.
It's alright. At least you got rid of the bees.
I got 3 bees.
Yeah, he really favors the bees for whatever reason.
And then Umi, even though Umi has like 4 magic things left, I don't have enough to,
Yeah.
have
You can-
enough for, what do you call it? Another
Did you
magic
use all of Foo's?
No, I didn't use food yet. Holy shit! He is just being horrible. Bees, all the bees.
I noticed that he's like doesn't really use the bees once he loses.
I like wasted all my magic on the bees by accident. Just because I kept getting in the way and I'm trying to hit the guy.
Yeah.
Preston, I'd be careful with the car right now.
Yep.
And I say that and I get hit.
Yeah, you can't. You have to wait for him to attack before it does.
Because
Yep. Just weird invulnerability frames. And the moment he finishes that thrust attack is when you can hit him.
and he curls him down.
At least Foo was really safe.
Huh?
At least Foo was really safe.
Yeah, it just takes forever. And
Yeah.
bees! Holy crap, bees today! I keep getting lazy. Usually they don't hit you, but they're just lazy today.
Yeah.
Foo's really safe, but she takes forever.
Yeah. Not as long as Umi though. I mean, for the longest time, I would just use Foo because it would, and then I actually, went in and tested the damage. It's like, whoa, it's crazy fast.
What's the hit difference between Yukari and Foo?
Let me see if I have that spreadsheet. There it is. Hikaru's attack takes 20 hits, and Foo's attack takes 30 hits.
Just died. Just like...
And Umi's just a little bit behind that at 32 hits.
Stop sword swiping!
Yeah, he'll start doing like twice in a row. Whoa, he's doing, that's 3 times in a row, that's crazy.
This is bad.
I believe in you. At least he didn't get hit by the rogue swipe that he did off screen.
If he does the bees again, then I'll do it.
He won't do the bees anymore.
Are you sure?
Yeah, his health is too low now.
You gotta love any game where you can say you won't do the bees anymore, and it makes absolute perfect sense.
Only lost a little bit of time there.
Nice, congratulations.
My
That's
heart is,
like
like,
the
pounding.
scariest part of the fight. And only
my
in the
heart
US
is,
version that fight is scary. In the Japanese version, I think he only does like 2 points of damage on each hit.
Yeah, it's...
Which is almost nothing.
Ugh. I feel awful now. Cutscene. There's a cutscene there.
Yep, just of him blowing up.
Celebrate and Clef is like, I'm better. I think he was fine all along, really. That silly Clef. He could have broken the spell on himself anytime.
Yeah.
I bet.
But it's not. It wasn't his destiny. It was ours.
This is our story.
Because...
Right. Lightning, lasers, orbs, sparks, fireballs, repeat.
Yep.
Emerald was very hard, like, when I first played the game. And then I realized,
Yeah.
oh wait, she has a pattern.
Yeah, it was the same way for me. It's like, this fight's hard, and then after a while, it's like, oh, duh, she does the same thing every time. I just noticed that.
I hate how it has to, you know, do the giant loading screen and then just for you to get blasted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Saturn didn't have that much memory to load this fight, go back and then load the other fight, and then load it again.
So, also, if you do die against Emerald, the game will just be nice to you and give you max health and MP.
Yeah, and it lets you use that spell twice, even though I don't know if it's faster to use it twice or not, because it's hard to test the damage of that spell because it doesn't kill her, but it does do damage. I guess they never expected anyone to have infinite mana and fight that boss.
I did that backwards. I just used the magic on the orbs, not the sparks.
It's whatever. You got this.
So anime.
What's that? Your magical girls have giant ropes. Totally normal. Yeah, I finished the fight with like 3 health because I got careless.
It doesn't help if there's a bit of lag every time she attacks, especially with the lightning.
Yeah, the lightning, I think it's just like many minutes to get.
Start swooping. It's gone. Watch her head.
Yep, and the head just tracks you, but not completely. And time's coming for Kari soon.
Time.
Alright.
Nice!
GG!
Another
Congratulations.
PB.
The second ever sub 3 in Magic Knight Rayearth for the Sega Saturn.
Excellent
And I quantify it for the Sega Saturn because there are other Magic Knight Rayearth games. There's one on the Super Famicom and there's 2 on the Game Gear. And, there might be others.
Yeah, the Super Famicom one is the one people actually know most because that got a fan translation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a fan translation for it, and it was like, oh, you know, here's this game, and it's not, you know, $300 or whatever, and not on the Saturn.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on your massive PB. That is amazing.
Yeah, my PB was like 309 before, so now it's sub 3.
That is awesome.
Absolutely amazing job. Thank you both for that run. And again, congratulations on the PP. Is there anything that you'd like to say before we move on?
Sega Saturn.
Woo!
Sega Saturn Sheeta!
Once again, everyone, give them a great round of applause. We're going to be moving on to X-Men next. That is... Wait, hold on. Did I get that? Yeah, X-Men 2, Clone Wars. However, I will be signing off. That is it for me. I've been on here since, like, 12, so I'm ready for bed. And I will see you guys tomorrow, bright and early, at 9:40 for the Sonic block. So, once again, thank you guys, and we'll see you in a few minutes for X-Men.